It is 6 o'clock, and I am calling our Trophy Club meeting together, Town Council, for the workshop, October the 14th, 2024, and all of our council is here, which means we have a quorum. Welcome, council. Hope you've had a good week, and you look really good in your shirts. Good job.
Yeah, we should do this every week.
Yeah. We need.
Or May.
It would cost, you would have to pay for it out of your account. So do you want to pay for it out of your account?
I'm a no account, so it doesn't matter.
I second that.
Okay, well, we are here because we love workshops. They're the best thing that, since sliced bread for a council, and it's a great opportunity again for us to discuss the business of the town in such a way that you can hear the council interact, talk. It's our kind of, we don't get, as you know, we don't get to talk on a, together without, as a quorum. So today, we have a fairly large workshop agenda, and of course, it will be led by our town secretary and our town manager. We will be looking at discussion on draft boards and commissions manual, the proposed town council rules and procedures manual, and the appointed officials evaluation policy. Those are three different issues. Now, it is 6 o'clock. We try to finish by 7, and if we should have to go over, we may have to go over and begin our regular agenda at the time in which we finish this. So, at that, Mr. Wright, it is all yours.
All right, very good. First of all, just as a way of conducting this workshop, as we go through these items, we begin looking at the rules and procedures document and any other documents that you may want to review for here. What I'd ask is that we just kind of use this as a fairly, loose area here. Just speak up, just say, hey, I've got a question about this. I want to stop there with it because we are reviewing a lot of text tonight, and there's only one way for us to kind of get through it all, and that is to just, I've got certain sections that we're going to stop at and highlight. Though I want to make sure that we are getting council feedback on the way that we've outlined the rules and procedures for that. I don't anticipate going through the Boards and Commissions handbook this evening with any questions that I have. If you have them, I'll try and get through my questions, and then at the end, if you have any other things that you would like to bring up, let's go ahead and go through those. But most of my kind of question areas are going to be in the rules and procedures documents. Okay. So if you want to, all of you should have up at the dais with you, you should have this document here, which is the rules and procedures. I would recommend that you bring that up either on your computers or the printed copy in order to follow along with us, because we will be skipping section to section and having conversations. I think we'll hit most of the topics that several of you have questions on. I know it's in conversations with many of you. I know that several questions have come up about these sections, so I'll stop on a lot of them as we go through. Again, if you want to just intervene and say, hey, this section is one that I had a question on, let's stop and talk about that for a second. Our goal, both for Tammy and I, is to understand what it is that the council would like to do for your rules and procedures. You won't hurt our feelings. This is very much a draft document right now. We're trying to figure out what things we need to do to revise it to make it the final draft before we would present it to council for approval. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'll start with section 1.2. And then we'll go to section B there. So 1.2, section B, this is on page 1 of that document for the rules and procedures manual. The questions that we have for this area. So this outlines a process by which we would appoint subcommittees. The process as it's defined right now reads that at the first meeting in June, so you're used to that already, the first meeting in June that you establish a couple of subcommittees. A couple of them would be added to that list for it. And the process is also outlined in here. Right now our ordinances don't outline a process for how it is that you make recommendations to bring forward a subcommittee. All right, so it just says that a meeting in June, the mayor shall recommend the members of the following council subcommittees subject to the approval of the town council. Town council members may recommend changes to those members are recommended by the mayor. The point there is that anyone can really offer up suggestions as to who it is should be nominated for that process. But for the sake of getting to a decision sooner rather than later, the mayor would kind of kick it off with introducing nominations, and then the rest of the council may interject at that point. We also then outline 4 subcommittees that would be appointed. An appointments committee, you're used to doing that one already. The budget oversight committee, that one would require just a little bit of renaming, because right now it has a place in the ordinances, it just doesn't name it that. It has a much longer name that's think it's called the Finance Committee, so anyway, it's got a long name to it. We would also then do the Appointed Official Review and Compensation Committee, which is one of the committees that's outlined in in one of the other attachments that you have to this work session agenda item, which is how it is that you do your reviews for the appointed individuals, which is the three of us sitting up here at this table. And then you also have, we would also then recommend a Municipal Utility District Number 1 Coordination Committee. And that's kind of maybe a slight variation on what it is that we have today, right? Today we have a mud committee. I don't know that's really been well defined as to what its exact purpose is long term for that. The idea of this one would be a little more, that it would be more in the coordination efforts with the mud on various projects that we may be working on. Okay. So I'll stop right there because we've kind of highlighted two things there, right? One of them being the process for getting to nominations for subcommittee members, and the second one being the list of subcommittees that would be established by the council every year, and then I'd welcome your feedback on that.
Mr. Wright, I have a couple of questions, or I guess really just a recommendation. I agree with under 1.2b, at the first town council meeting in June, the mayor shall recommend the members of the following subcommittees subject to the approval of town council. But to keep this from being confusing and trying to say, well, this was our intention, I would suggest that the following sentence, town council members may recommend changes to those members recommended by the mayor, be removed and replaced with language similar to, and I talked to you and Ms. Dixon about this, the recommendation list as a starting point for discussion as appointment of members to all committees, inclusive of council subcommittees, is exclusively vested in the town council. And that would be the end of the sentence. But that's Article 3, Section 308, Powers of the Council. And I think that if we clearly state it here, rather than infer that, well, we'll take the recommendations and maybe somebody else will come up with something else, we just make it very clear that according to the charter, all of that power will be vested in the council, and this is a launching off point or a discussion point on the recommendations. Does that make sense?
But, yes, but I don't understand why that doesn't, the last sentence does not clarify what you're saying. The town council members may recommend changes.
I'm trying to get a little more on point with it, a little more specific as to what the intent is, the way Mr. Wright's just explained
Okay,
it.
then I'd like to hear what specifically you're going to put there.
Sure, yeah, so the idea would be that, I think the language here that is recommended for adding gets to the core authority of the council, right, power of the council on that part, and making it clear that the council decides who subcommittees are ultimately, right? The process would still be.
We're starting with recommendations.
Exactly, the mayor makes a recommendation at first, but it's also then saying there's no, that the mayor's recommendation is merely the recommendation of one member of the council. It is not, it doesn't have any power beyond that part, right? It still rests with the remainder of the council to make that decision together on that part. I think it clarifies the language, with that part, and would be, the end result here is clarity among the council, right? Process-wise, probably doesn't change the process, other than it's being very clear as to what that power is.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one little thing to add to that.
Please.
I've served with two different mayors, and I don't have a problem with either one of them being the one to make a recommendation, but I don't like giving the mayor more power than what they have in the charter, just generally speaking. I'd rather that this just say the mayor shall recommend, but then also the mayor will open the floor for other recommendations. Just that way it's built in, it's always there. It might be like it was, might be like it was this year where.
That's what we did.
Where the recommendations, right, I just think it'd be
Yeah.
good to go ahead and say that. Say, here's my recommendations, and
Right.
floor's open for other recommendations.
Yeah,
That way
we
it's
could
just-
certainly blend both of those ideas actually
Yeah,
together very
just,
nicely,
but,
right?
and I agree with
that. Yeah,
your
exactly.
general direction too.
Correct, yep.
I like the way it worked out this year, but it's good to codify, hey, this is how we're gonna start, but, the floor's open.
Yeah.
Right, it worked really well.
Yeah.
But it gives us a starting, jumping off point.
Right, and that's the discussion point, where it starts.
Okay. On this particular, I have some other stuff before this, but on this, I want to point out that the Appointed Official Review and Compensation Committee has not been discussed with council. It was just suddenly there, and no one's ever had an opportunity to discuss it, if somebody wants to discuss it. Then the at the top, or at the very beginning, our charter and everything we've got always uses rules of procedure, and all of a sudden, we've got a different name, rules of order and procedure. I don't know what order means. I'd rather just be rules of procedure, leave it go. Then I've got a couple of things to start off with before this, when the mayor would like me to speak.
Okay, may I ask a question too? Do we have to put this municipal utility district number 1 in there at this point? I mean, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what
So
this is about.
I brought up that question to Brandon, and his point was probably pretty good, in that we've been very specific on a couple things with this committee and working on very specific items with the mud. The fact of the matter is, over the course of the next year, 2, 3 years, 3 years, there's going to be a lot of things that come up that need to be worked on. And rather than create an ad hoc committee 2, 3 times a year to address this, maybe it makes sense just to have one. That doesn't mean it could go 6 months without ever having a meeting.
Okay.
But the fact that issues that we're working together jointly are going to continue to come up, and so the need for that.
Okay.
I understood it better.
Yeah.
that way.
And remembering that one of the things later on in this section says that on the date of whenever this is approved, any group that has not been established officially by ordinance or resolution, right, is dissolved, because we've kind of had this history of kind of creating a lot of things, never really kind of getting rid of them along the way, right, the right way. So we needed to kind of have a point where we say, okay, it moves forward. The one group that we thought, you know what, there's some merit in that moving forward would be this mud group, right? But I'll call, but kind of twisting its purpose a little bit to just be more about ongoing coordination
Okay.
on that. So if we have projects that we're working on together, then it's there and it's available for us. If there's not, then it just functions for the year and then it
So
just.
it's kind of like the community center.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
that's a
Yeah, yeah.
coordinated effort.
Correct, yep,
And
exactly.
we
Yeah.
continuously interact with.
And we know that over the next several years, as we're working for one of the agenda items today,
Okay.
we're talking about that expansion,
Okay.
boundary expansion part of it. We're going to be trying to meet with anyone anyway,
Okay,
so.
got it, thank you. Dennis, did you have something you want to say?
No.
Oh, anybody else?
All right, if
Are we
not-
finished with this page?
All right, if no one else has got anything to say about this particular, I want to go back to the beginning. This uses a resolution when previously it was an ordinance. And the rules and procedure was made an ordinance, and why are we going to a resolution?
Sure, yeah, so we are looking to take this out of the ordinances, right, and then put it into a resolution instead as the one manual for it. It goes back to kind of, in fact, I got a question a little bit earlier about ordinances versus resolution. Ordinances, as you know, right, kind of carry a weight of law to them on that part. These are your governing rules of how it is you govern yourselves. They're not punishable by fines and penalties and things like that. These are the rules by which you operate for it. They're probably better off in resolution mode than ordinance mode. Certainly, you know, you can do one or the other. It's not like there's a right way or a wrong way. I think resolution is the better way to adopt your rules and procedures as opposed to putting them in an ordinance.
Easier to change.
Correct, easier to change, and don't, you know, again, don't carry a penalty associated with them in some way, if for some reason they are violated along the way.
Okay?
Because there's lots of things in here that are administerial as to how it is you just normally conduct your business.
I already made the comment about the rules and procedure. In my opinion, after just a general of the whole document, okay? It sure does seem like it belongs in a large city, Fort Worth or Dallas, and not a small town. And it's almost like some parts of it, I think I need an attorney with me to interpret. Therefore, I don't like a lot of the language, and I'll just state that up front. It's too legal, and it needs to be commonsensical. If you're going to make it into a resolution and not an ordinance, it should be readily understandable. Thank you.
Okay. So we are just going to listen to that, correct?
Sure, yeah, if
making a comment.
if there are some examples you have of words that you believe in here that are not
I've got many
clear.
pages.
There you go.
Thank you.
We'd be happy to take a look at those, absolutely.
Okay, so are we going to just go through this page by page? Because
So,
I have a
so
comment.
I have certain ones that I will stop on.
Okay.
On this, so if
Okay.
we're done with this topic, 1.2B,
No, we're not. I
Okay.
would like to look at 1.4. council member participation in community activities. I want to talk about that and clarify what exactly that means. Give me examples, because I believe that this is very important when a new council person comes in, to know what's expected, what they can do, what's out of line, out of bounds.
Yeah, sure. So this would be, I'm trying to think of some just very easy way to explain this. Yeah, let's choose Rotary. Rotary's a good one on this one. So let's say that a council member is involved with Rotary, right? And what this section is saying, right, is that the council member's participation in Rotary is a good thing. It's not but that member's participation is as an individual, as an interested individual, not as a representative of the council, unless the council has designated that person to be its representative to that group. Okay, on it. And so that person going to that meeting and saying, I'm here on behalf of the council. Well, if the council hasn't granted that, right, then the person can't be declaring that the council has granted them that authority with it. And that could apply to any one of the number of organizations that are in the town, that many of you belong to in various different capacities as being, vested community members here in Trophy Club. So.
Okay.
But it's
Mayor?
more than just organizations, right? It's any kind of any activity.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
It's attending HOA meetings, isn't the point here that as a council member, any of us members, if we attend, we are there as a council member. We're not speaking on behalf of the council. We're not a spokesman for the council.
Correct, yeah.
That's what this whole thing is getting at.
Exactly, correct. Yes.
Well, does that go to individual residents in the town when they have a particular issue, and we go out there and represent the town when we're not really supposed to?
So I think there are sections of this that apply to that
Okay.
type of a situation. I don't believe this is the section
Okay.
that was
This
intended
is-
for that. This is
got it.
more about the community activity events types of situations.
Thank you.
I'd like to have a change in this section and take interested party out, but private. Otherwise, I want a definition of what interested is. And the way I look at this is, Mayor, if you go to the chamber luncheon and you're speaking up there, giving the, state of the Trophy Club, you're representing the town. But if we all just go to have lunch and listen, then we're just individuals,
Right.
private parties. Thank you.
But we're also interested,
What?
But not interesting.
not interesting.
No.
No, I'm trying to be nice in my language.
Well, so this is a pretty good example, quite frankly. When we do go to the Metroport, we sit at the lunch table.
Yep.
And are we at that time, because we're all together, representing the town? Are we there on our own?
Yep, so in that situation, so let's say that they ask the town for the mayor to give a presentation, because that does happen, right? That is a town, they've requested something of the town, and we've in most cases, we're gonna help prepare the mayor, and we're gonna, kind of make sure that everything, you have the resources you need for that particular event. That's a different situation than come and attend the meeting, right? And that one, and be a listener, be an attendee at the meeting. Certainly, you're not representing the council as a council member in an official way during that, right? But you are there as an interested or private party, whatever word you'd like to use, there to learn and understand something that will help you in your roles, right, as council members, but isn't necessarily representing the town in some official way.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks. Wow, okay, it's 6:19.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next section that I have, which is 4.2.
I have a question on 2.1.
Okay.
Municipal building is normally considered the mud building by people in this town.
Okay, we can read
So
it.
we need to just say town hall.
As in 2.1, you said?
2.1, yeah, second paragraph.
Good catch.
And then, if you're finished, I actually have something at 2.3.
Okay.
Would you please clarify recording in executive sessions? I know that we do not record executive sessions. Does that need to be stated in here? It's 2.3, Dean.
We don't, we do the,
We do
called?
certified.
Certified,
record
there we go.
instead,
Yeah, we do that mode instead, but you can record it as another option, we just don't.
Okay. So does that need to be anywhere?
Should they put there that they don't?
We choose not to record. I mean, you've
That's
chosen
right.
not to
It's
record.
just a practice. Yep.
Okay, it's practice based on the attorney.
listing in there is,
It's,
you know.
it's the attorney and the town secretary.
Okay.
And I think maybe you want to leave open the possibility to make that decision on the
You want the
fly.
option, and y'all
Yeah.
can
Okay, so
decide.
putting anything in there would give it some
Limit it.
definitive
Yeah.
Would
definition.
limit that, yeah.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Good question.
Also in 2.3, shouldn't the fact that it needs, or let me ask you a question. Does a executive session need to be published in the agenda before we have it? Or can we just go into it at will?
You
No,
can-
it must be in the agenda. Yep.
All right, then I think it should be written here.
No, I thought.
That's
you-
also just state law.
In practice, we've, or at least the way it was explained to me, I don't remember it ever really actually happening, but that you could ask the attorney for consultation
Go and take-
on a regular item, assuming the
It
attorney
needs to be
agreed.
an item on the agenda.
Well, of
So-
course, yeah,
so-
but it doesn't need to be, the agenda doesn't need to call out that that item will necessarily have an
specific
executive session.
item.
All
Yes,
right,
we're same
well,
page.
that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Same page.
I thought.
Yeah, if you're looking at the bottom of the agenda, there's always catch-all language.
Well, I
catch-all
know
at
it's
the bottom.
it's always there, but it didn't used to be there.
Oh,
It was only there if they were expecting to go there.
I got
And
you.
it was just put on a few years ago to be that. But, so therefore, it doesn't need to be written in.
for-
Okay.
right.
It is state law, exactly, yeah, so.
Got it? Thank you.
I have a comment on 2.9 if we're that far.
Okay,
2.9, third paragraph, we're talking about establishing the agenda, and second sentence in third paragraph, a council member's item requested should at a minimum be placed on a work session agenda for discussion within the next 4 meetings. Is that something we've just come up with? I couldn't find where that had been established prior to this.
Was that anywhere in our ordinances before? I don't think it was.
pulled that from another one.
No, I think, that yeah, we gathered some examples from other cities and looked at kind of how it is that they manage that process for it. And so that one came from actually another place.
I think the 4 meetings might be pushing it back too far.
Okay.
I would like to not put a time limit on it. I would say be placed on a work session agenda for discussion as soon as possible, as soon as practical, but I don't
Would
like
you- would you
saying
be okay
4
with-
meetings.
Okay. Would you be okay with the following language, though, that says, unless otherwise determined by the mayor and town council, or, I'm sorry, town manager, such determination will be communicated to the requesting council member? In other words, as soon as possible is kind of it's a word of art, right, on that part, and there needs to be some flexibility of either we have things lined up right now for work sessions, and so we can't quite get to it right now.
Absolutely. But
Right.
if it's a matter of urgency or something that needs to be addressed, or they're getting a lot of attention, then I would not want to say that we can put it 4 out.
Sure.
So, it's not, if a council member makes a request and then there's 2 council members make a request, then it should go on before 4 meetings. It shouldn't be able to be pushed out that far.
Well, it does say within 4, but I will say, I'm glad you brought this up, because this has always been a challenge. The councils I was on previous, y'all will probably remember, because
Yeah.
we didn't end it all that long ago, kept a running list of future items, and then we tried to institute a 30, 60, 90-day check-in to see, well, is staff ready to bring this one up? And I don't know that there's really a perfect way to do it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if Dennis and I decide together this thing needs to be on, it's Dennis and my responsibility to work with Brandon to figure it out, ultimately. But it's nice to have something here so that people who are coming to this new understand the expectation, whatever that may be. So I'm not against having something here, but yeah, if we want to
Yeah,
tweak it.
maybe the wording can be kind of a blending in consultation with the mayor and/or town manager, right? Putting it on as soon as possible, right? That may be,
Because they're
we
not
just need to
always.
figure it all out, right?
Right.
We just need to make sure that it's all.
It may be urgent to me, but not to the next council member. But if you have 2 council members and they think it's urgent, then we need to have a method to get it on.
Well, you always have that.
That's covered in the second
Within-
paragraph.
Yeah, you always have that method, right.
But there used to be a future agenda item on the agenda.
we've
so
dropped
that
off.
Everybody was clear on what was happening, what was postponed, what was delayed, what was just in limbo, but at least acknowledged.
yeah. So since you came, Brandon, the future agenda item went away. And I think it kind of went away because of the way we're doing our strategic planning now.
Correct,
And so that is what I have concluded.
Yep.
It
Yeah,
wasn't driving a
items-
ton of value.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
what?
items.
It wasn't driving a ton of value.
No.
No, it wasn't.
Items that are decided by the council to be of importance go on the strategic plan, right? And then those get addressed through
Yeah.
that process.
And I think too, by us having our meetings with you, we're able to say, you know, this is something I think we need to consider, and so
Yeah.
you check out and do
Yeah,
it.
and where work sessions, where this topic becomes a stress point on the staff side of it is when I start to get multiple requests of, we need to do this now, we need to do
Right.
this now, we need to do this now, right? Not understanding that there are lots of things that we're actually already in progress that we're trying to do, and so now we have to interrupt that progress to do these other things. The strategic plan process moves it much easier, right? It's kind of long-term planning for what things are we going to be working on. Very few things should really come up to be really emergencies. And when emergencies happen, we should stop and talk about them, right? We need to make sure that we're addressing those emergencies. If it doesn't meet that level, it's going to kind of go during our twice-a-year discussion of what should be on the strategic plan and when are we going to fit this in over time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and my comments are based on the fact that we haven't seen this time limit before.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think kind of that language of saying kind of in consultation with the mayor and or town manager, right, be placed on an agenda as soon as possible, I think might be a good way to kind of.
Just for a future
Blend that
discussion
together.
period, put a period there. You don't
Yeah.
need that last part of the 4 weeks.
Yeah, okay,
Okay, I'd like to go back a page,
okay.
2.8, where you're keeping count, the videos and stuff for 6 months. Is that a cost? I realize, is that a cost thing, why we don't keep it longer? Because I do go back, and I know other people that do go back and research the council meetings and stuff like that, just to see what happened.
We haven't taken any down. They're all that we have, so
Okay.
we
Would-
don't have, we're
But
not.
We don't take anything down,
No,
we
we're
can
not
take that
taking it
section
down.
out.
All right, would you
Yeah.
take, would you please,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
And then going on the page that Luann was on, 3.2, I would like throughout this whole thing, some places it says the mayor and the presiding officer, other places it just says the mayor. Well, a lot of places it should say the mayor or the presiding officer when it talks about a meeting.
Which section are you
We're
looking
at
at?
3.2?
I'm on 3.2,
What?
okay?
I don't see the mayor in.
It says, for the purposes of consideration,
What?
oh, I'm sorry,
I think maybe you're on, what page?
I'm in the wrong-
what's the
I'm on the
page?
wrong thing.
What's your page number?
page 14.
Yeah, what are you?
All right.
I'm on page 4.
14? You're way ahead of us.
Oh, I know, I'm up 2.9,
Okay.
where it says never mind, I apologize. But anyway, just a general comment around, there's several places where it says the mayor will do something in a meeting, and it should say mayor and presiding officer. Thank you.
Okay.
We can also handle that somewhere in the definition.
I probably, this was probably in
Use
the middle of the
presiding
night.
officer
so I did
everywhere.
that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, y'all? Keep on going. Ready?
We are
Go.
rocking and rolling
I
now.
have section 4, if no one else has anything before section 4.
I have 3.4 if we could,
Go for
if
it.
you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Items of community interest, council communications. Members of the town council have the opportunity to briefly comment, and notify others of items of community interest. I would stop there, because the rest of this is limiting what the definition is of those items that we can report
Yeah, I
on.
believe those are the items that are outlined in state law that are permissible for you to bring up as items of community interest. on it.
So this is a reference back to,
Correct, because it's not this wide, it's this wide, right? What you can do there, and so I think the point there is just make sure that everyone knows how wide is that area.
Since
We
it's
will
not-
double check,
It's not an agenda item, so it has to have some
correct.
boundary.
well, council communications. Okay, well, I get that. That would make
Yeah.
sense.
Well,
We-
yeah, we'll double check that and just make sure that we've included everything that is, as broad as it can be in state law, and if it needs to be changed a little bit.
Or if
we'll
there's
do
a
that.
state law that could back reference to as well, would be helpful.
Yeah,
Actually, I kind of like this being in here because we do have it in our agenda where the council has the opportunity to speak to the, but we've never really clearly defined that.
Right.
And I think this has broadened it. So hopefully, as we continue this, council will find opportunities to speak to the community.
Well,
I really liked it.
but this, I wouldn't want to see this connected to the agenda item, because
No.
the agenda item is brand new
It's
and
not,
may or may not be continued in the future.
oh, I don't think it's the agenda item. It just describes what you
No.
can do at that point.
No, I understand.
Okay.
It's
got it.
like the council update.
Yes, yes.
And these are the only things you
These are
can
the things you
update
can
on.
speak to.
Yeah,
That's-
there's 6 items under
Yes.
state law, so
That's
it's
perfect.
captured all of them with the.
I like that.
That's good.
I broadened the opportunities.
let's see. Councilmember Rowe, was there yours?
Yep.
That was next, I think?
Yes, so, in section 4, I would like to see something there, because we do correctly reference Robert's Rules of Order there in 4.2. And of course, it says as amended by the council. And we have some things here, and I'm happy with the format of it all, pretty much. I would like to see something, because this is in contrast to Robert's Rules of Order, which is we commonly discuss when there's not a motion on the floor, which I think is the right way to do it based on just the way we interact with each other in the public and everything. But technically in Robert's Rules of Order, you're supposed to have a motion on the floor. So I think it'd be smart of us to call that out here to say it's allowed or appropriate or whatever to discuss prior to a motion being on the floor.
Well, I was recently in a meeting. They didn't use the word govern, they used the word guided,
Yeah.
See what do we
right?
have up here?
That's one. So
that was
that's
on
one
my
of the, I
notes
was
here.
going to make a
Changed.
comment
Yeah.
that Robert should guide us.
Generally guide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Generally
well,
guide, that's even
being
better.
that way.
Yeah.
And then and also, I'd like to see put in here on 4.2, could be altered by the presiding officer, which is what we do, okay? And then this is where the mayor and the presiding officer comes out, in that area, 4.4.
Yeah, in fact, and we'll get to, actually, there's a section here that is the motion process on here. So I'm going to hold your question for just a little bit longer until we get to that motion process, because that was one of my questions, was to kind of figure out, do you want it to be motion-led or not motion-led, right?
Right.
Someone has to make a motion to discuss, or you can just discuss and
Yeah.
then someone makes a motion. You can do it either way. It's just whatever the rules, whatever the process the council wants to use.
Yeah, I think that's an important discussion.
Yeah. But hold on, because we're not there yet. We'll be
Okay,
there.
okay.
We'll be there soon.
Yeah, somewhere in section 4, it should go there.
It's in, where is it right now?
It's on.
410 is where you have
411
motions.
is where it is.
And 411 is procedures for motion.
But I had 4.8, I wanted to stop real quick and have a question there on that one if,
I feel that 4.8 is not necessary.
Okay.
I'm not the one that raised the question, but I think it is unnecessary.
yeah, 4.8 is something we found in some other places and we thought maybe you'd like to, it's just basically, it's a check mark with the council comments and it says, if a council member is speaking more than 5 minutes, the mayor, it's not to cut them off, but the mayor may notify the person that it's been 5 minutes, kind of bring it to a,
5 minutes is a long time to talk.
yeah, begin closing up,
Even
right?
morality.
You know, that's all that section says as far as the rule goes, right? Do you want a 5-minute reminder of you've been talking for a while? Or is it just, that's not necessary and we'll just get rid of it?
I agree with Luann, take it out.
Yeah, I think less is more sometimes. At end of the day, presiding officer's discretion handles so many of these things, so we
Yeah.
should, try to limit the word salad elsewhere where we can.
And I didn't list them all, but number 4.5, several places, it says that the role of the mayor is to facilitate. So it's repeated again and again and again.
Yep.
So I think it just
Okay.
figure out one place and
Very good. Let's then move on to 4.11 there, and this is where we get to this idea of motions. There's actually a process that's outlined in 4.11, and you'll notice that it starts with, before a motion can be considered or debated, it must be seconded. That's how it starts for it. So I would say right now, the council, essentially, there's a process of you receive a staff report, typically, on an item, right? Or if there is to be had one, the item is read in, there's a report given to the council, discussion on the item, and then you motion or second before you move that. So that's one process. The other process is you start off with, it's introduced, there might be or may not be a staff report. On that part, even before that process, you could say, do we have a motion to even move this item forward on it? Motion second would allow you then debate, and then you would move forward.
I'd like to go what Ryland was talking about. It goes along with what I like, and that is that you open it up, you have the staff, the applicant, the public, which is not included in here, which
But
needs
it
to be.
is on further down.
Okay, and in that type of order.
Okay?
Yeah, I think that, and the reason I brought that up is people interpret a motion as in favor of what you're making the motion for, and that's because 90% of the time it is. But we do our best discussions often before a motion comes to the floor, and a lot of times, the discussion leads us to the proper motion. So I think it's excuse me, I think it's important. One other thing while I'm talking, the only other question I had about this one is, B and C, typically, in my reading of Robert's rules and in my experience, I mean, if you've got a microphone in front of you, you can make a motion. You just got to figure out how to get the floor. And then especially for a second. So I would personally just kill B and C and let the presiding officer, his or her responsibility to maintain order, kind of run that.
Okay. Yeah, and it may be overly.
It's a little too
prescriptive
back
at
and
that
forth,
point.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
hey, Jeanette, I'd like to make a motion. Well, okay, Rylan, well, go ahead. Okay, well, here it is.
It's a motion.
Yeah, just,
Could you please say that again?
yeah.
Now,
Okay.
when this is a resolution.
Well, this is just for a motion in general.
No, I know, excuse me, but assuming this flies through and it becomes a
that
resolution,
one.
right? We have an ordinance. It doesn't rescind the ordinance. And in the ordinance and in the charter, we have many places that talk about citizens prior to council discussion. Or, they can talk at any meeting in different places like that. I'd like to see that included in here, okay? And also, if we are going to, what do we do with the ordinance? that's
Yeah,
out
we'll
there?
have to.
We can't, we're
we'll
not
amend
going to change the
ordinance.
charter for it,
Yeah, yeah.
but, and the items in the ordinance that concern public input and everything, I like, and I'd like to see incorporated into here.
Yeah, and I have some comments on that too, but I don't know if we want to wait till section 6.
Yeah, I had in another area.
'Cause I got a
Under
couple.
motions as such.
Yeah.
Right, but see, my comment is the way this is written, such legalese, and by making it in section 6, it restricts the input of the citizens, the input into our process all the way along. And that's my
Yeah, no, yeah.
interpretation. That's the way I interpret it, because anyway, we'll get to 6, but I would like to see public input in the document in each area that it needs to be.
So you're asking for it to be inserted into 4.11
Well,
somewhere?
if it's going to be part of our procedures, which it is, because right now it's in the ordinance, it's in the charter that the public gets to speak.
Okay.
Where do they get to speak? Okay? And it's in this process right here.
Yeah, but
I see
there's,
this, I see this,
there's plenty,
I see this
there's no
being
removal of
the
public comments here.
council's-
Exactly, yeah, we'll make sure that there's.
Yeah, so under
This-
state law,
this is
they
the council.
have an opportunity to
Yeah.
speak
Yeah.
before or during.
And during.
No, I understand,
This
and I understand that we give them more than what the law requires.
Yes.
Okay,
But
and
this-
that's what I want to see continued.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
have
want to
that.
see that restricted.
411 for me is how the council interacts regarding a motion.
Correct. It
Agreed.
is,
It
yeah.
does not yet include the public.
That is-
This is our procedure.
It's just a process for how a motion gets
Right.
introduced and moves.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Done. We're going to get to the.
And
key.
or amended,
Keep going.
revised, they're just kind of that process.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, then my next one was 4.8, so if there's anything in between, or actually, what did I just say? I said 4.8, I didn't mean that. What I meant was 5.1. And this is the public hearing section. Sorry, give me another second, here we go.
So
I have a question on 4.12.
Okay.
Does state law require an affidavit on, when you declare a conflict and recuse yourself?
Yes.
Which item were you looking at?
4.12, abstinence, abstentions?
Yes.
We didn't have conflict of
Okay,
interest.
It's
a different vote.
I signed it twice.
right, okay.
But only if
state
it's
law.
a legal
Yeah, that's all.
conflict
Yeah.
where the attorney agrees you're conflicted. If it's
Right.
one of these, hey, I don't want to vote on it because my neighbor down the street
Yeah.
type of things,
So
that's
the
not.
the
something.
recommendation there is before the council meeting, help me understand the conflict so we can fill out the affidavit, because the recommendation from the Attorney General is that you remove yourself from the dais and even from the room, so there's not even an appearance of influencing the vote.
Okay, and then on tie votes, I think that first sentence, all that's needed, and the rest is all wordage. just say a tie vote results in a lost motion, and let it go at that.
What number
Where was
did you
that one?
just say?
Sorry.
That's 4.12, tie votes,
Oh, tie votes, okay.
Okay.
okay? And my comment down there on charter and status voting requirements is all legalese, and I need a lawyer to understand it.
I'm not understanding the
The
comment.
the extra language basically says, once you have a tie vote, that someone else may offer a new, it's a non-passing vote, someone else may offer a new motion,
It's just,
is basically what the rest of the language there says. That is always true whenever you have a failed motion,
you know,
right?
so it's kind of, well, once again, you're going back to motions, and you're going back to Robert's rules and as a guidance, and it's kind of commonsensical, that why, never mind. All right, that's my comment. Too much work.
Keep going.
Did you say have something, Lorraine?
No, I said keep going.
Robin, you had something?
Section 5, yeah, but I'll wait until
Okay.
we get there.
All right, I was at 5.1, if we're ready there. All right, general procedures for a public hearing. This one is a little bit closer in line, I think, to what it is that we practice today for it. So the process being, right, opening the public hearing, staff presents its report, then you have the applicant come and do their rebuttal or discussion of their item, whatever it is. Then the public is invited to speak at that point, close the public hearing, and then the town council deliberates the issues. Then it has on here G, right, if the council wants to raise, if new items get raised to the deliberation and seek to take additional public testimony, the public hearing must be reopened. So if you want to accept more public testimony at that point, you would reopen the public hearing on that. That's probably the best practice to do because it is indeed a public hearing on that. And then you would close it once you're done with that again, and then the town council deliberates and takes action for that. So any
Yeah, so that was my question,
Yeah.
about the circumstances under which you would reopen a public hearing. So up until very recently, whenever any agenda item required a public hearing by state law, you'd have the public hearing item and then you'd have the action item as two separate items. So the public hearing item would happen basically exactly just like this. But then GH and I would happen under the action item, under the regular agenda item. So that was governed by the regular rules of procedure, which meant obviously public input was still allowed because it was the action item. In all the years that I chaired P and Z, I would always tell people, here's the public hearing, and I would step it through more or less like this, but then I would always say, when we get to the action item, you will still have an opportunity to speak as a regular agenda item if something else comes up, to lower the anxiety in the room, especially if there's lots of people here. So are you saying that we should always reopen a public hearing, even though we have, I mean, every item we hear, we require public input, or we allow public input, and I believe state law requires that we have some gives people some opportunity, so.
Correct, yeah.
Are we overcomplicating this when we could just say, GH and I, it just proceeds as a regular item with all the regular rules?
So I think there's, actually, that, you bring up an excellent point, because there's really two ways to handle public hearings. It's much more common, at least here in Texas, to do your public hearings and your approval of whatever it is your public hearing is about at the same time. You don't have to do it that way. You can do a public hearing item alone, and then later on, consider the ordinance as well, right? You can kind of separate these items, and I think what you're
That's
referring
what
to is a
we-
little bit more of that separation of the items.
Going back to at least like 2010, that's how it was
Yeah.
done around here.
Yeah, so this is contemplating more of the world where you're still in the public hearing
Right.
portion of it, right, on that. And then, so if you're still in the public hearing and you invite comment from one public
Then you have to
person,
reopen it.
you kind of need to reopen it, right?
Right.
Because now you're in the public hearing still, and I just invited more comment for it versus what it is you're referring to, which is now later on, I've kind of closed the public hearing, I've moved on from that topic, now I'm on just consideration of the ordinance itself, so.
Yeah, because when we're in a public hearing, we can't get the back and forth going,
Yeah.
which is always a challenge.
Yeah. And then I'll recommend, then I was, Dean sitting to my
So,
right, he
I
may
mean,
feel passionate.
if
about one
you,
with
I
it.
could point y'all to an example of, I don't know, any number of rezoning cases where we talked about residential density, where I had to be like, okay, it's all good, you'll get 10 chances to speak, I promise. I could point you to one to show you what the template looked like, but I'm personally a little more comfortable with having a public hearing item and an action item that way. it's
And if it's
very clear.
agended properly, the public still gets to speak on the
Yeah.
action item.
Always.
Yeah, if
Oh, yeah,
Regular
yeah,
agenda.
yeah.
It's agenda
because
at all.
They have to by state law. You
Yeah,
have to-
always.
No, I
right.
understand, but that's the way we've been doing it,
Yep.
and that's the way I agree with you, I'd like to see
Yeah.
it continue.
That does tend to slow up meeting. I think the reason why you combine them together is to make the meetings move a little bit more expeditiously.
Sure.
With it, it does slow it up when you have a public hearing and then you stop it and you basically don't take any action after the public hearing, right? You move on to the next agenda item and then you eventually you get to the action item for the agenda or for that particular public hearing. So,
The other thing, so I agree with him, and I think it ought to be two separate items. The other thing is, this comes up, this is the first place, and it's in several places, in page 20, 5.1D, that all individuals addressing the council shall state their name and address it for the record. I didn't know if that's law or not, and because if somebody wants to remain anonymous, and that was, the other is requiring everybody to sign a form before they can speak. And it's in several places, and where it says shall, I'd like this, my person is requested to, because that inhibits people who are out there suddenly think of something and want to come up and speak. And most of the time, the mayor will just invite them up to come talk. But the idea that it's written down that somebody can come along and say you can't speak because you didn't sign the form. I've seen that happen, and I don't want it to, so my thought is
Was
to say
that put into
requested.
place a long time ago, maybe even before we recorded all the meetings, that there was an official record document of that, or?
It's been around ever since I've been in
yeah.
town,
I couldn't
but
tell
it's
you.
always been available, but no one's ever enforced it to where they wouldn't let somebody speak.
Yeah, I've always just assumed it
Except for two
was,
times I saw the chairs stop people from speaking.
yeah, I just assumed it was always to help the town secretary keep track of everything when there was 50 people out
Well,
here.
and
That's,
it is, for
supposedly
sure.
to help staff follow up on something.
yeah, and
Right.
again, when we have bigger meetings, it's something I would, again, do is say, please, fill out a form, it'll help, but then again, you have to be open and say, okay, is there anyone else that wants to speak? So I agree with Dennis, you don't want to make it look like a requirement, but we want to encourage it because it makes everyone's job easier.
So-
I do agree. However, I think we need a stated process
Yeah.
because that just allows, honestly, a free-for-all. Unless we communicate to the public the process, what's expected of them, and how you do it. And I think it's important for people to sign up. And if they're going to speak from the audience without signing up, they need to say their name and where they live.
I agree,
That
because
qualifies them to speak in our town.
you will get folks speaking that aren't a stakeholder or a
Correct.
citizen.
That's
I
correct.
think we need to at least identify that they are a
need to know who they
stakeholder
are.
to whatever it is we're
Is there
visiting
a
about.
law? Well,
You have-
sorry, to Dennis's point, what does the law say?
There's not a legal requirement for it.
Okay.
It's a standard practice, I mean, and for all the reasons y'all have stated, but also, for zoning items, it helps you identify who is for or against.
Yeah.
Are they located within, for example, the 200 feet? I mean, there are a lot of reasons you might consider, name and address.
Okay. Okay, have we beat this, or are we ready to go on?
I think so.
I'm
I think we've gotten it.
I am the facilitator, and it is 6:48. So we are not going to be, we need to finish this particular document before we make a decision as to whether to go on. Is that fair?
Correct, yeah, but some of the items we've gotten a little bit, like the cards and things like that.
Right.
These are items that repeat a couple times, and so
Okay, let's see what we can do. in the
my
next
items
10
are
minutes.
getting smaller right now.
Okey-doke. Good.
Let's see, we talked about that. One of the items, 5.3A, let's go to that one real fast. Recommending the number of, so public member requests to speak, part of it. So 3 minutes for each person who wants to speak. This is the public member who gets up and just wants to make a comment, right? 3-minute time limit for that. And then a total, some places have a total number of minutes that are allocated to that topic as well, right? So it would say 60 minutes. At 60 minutes, the discussion is cut off. The idea being there that if you get a really long topic, you start to just get a lot of redundancy in comments, right? And so just trying to educate and hopefully the public will be more concise with how they consolidate their comments into kind of the general terms that need to be addressed there. We can leave that part in, we can take it out. It is something that, you know, some places will put in as a way of kind of keeping the discussions from getting too long.
I'd prefer to not have it in there. I don't know that we've had too many instances where it would have been a problem.
I would prefer having it out.
I don't like having written things that
If there's
limit
if there's a
input.
controversial issue like, say, PD 30, where we had to go down to the school.
Right.
That's a totally separate, and that's where the mayor would facilitate the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally like having a limit on the person speaking.
Yeah, I think.
Are you
that
okay with the
needs to
'3
stay.
minutes
Yeah.
original one?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
'Cause I think that's.
And it can be changed.
It's always
as well.
discretionary.
There's always discretion.
And it
Right,
is, exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always, wanted people to understand, don't feel like you have to practice your remarks and nail it at 2 minutes and 57 seconds, we want to be able to have a conversation too, so.
All right, then that answers several of my other questions. You will see this topic repeated in other sections. We'll just go back to this concept here and remove language consistently throughout the document. As such, 9.1D removal, this is for.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I
I'm
did
sorry,
want to,
go ahead.
before we moved on from
Yeah, yeah.
5.3, do we want to generalize this for public input in general and not just public hearings? Because
We'll
because
address
it goes
that.
further down.
We'll take that and
Yeah,
put it in the other
yeah.
Correct, yeah.
To me, it's kind of like it all,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, we'll make them all the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
all right, cool. I did have a question about something in section 6 though, before we go on.
Before 6, Jeff had something.
I'm in 6 also.
You're in 6 also? Okay.
I'm still in 5.
You're still in 5. All right.
On page 22, this thing about materials made public,
What number?
submitted 24 hours prior to, is that all materials, or is that just electronic materials? Because it.
This was, if you're not bringing materials, I believe this is how we interpret this one. If you're not bringing materials with you to a meeting, in other words, if I'm an outside person and just want to submit something to the council
Oh, okay,
prior to
that
the
I-
meeting.
That I understand, but this infers, the way I read it, was all materials. So
Okay.
No,
in electronics, if I want something on there, I want to submit it 24 hours, I understand. But it doesn't interfere with anything I want to bring with me.
No, you
That's
can
what,
bring it.
that
Oh,
was
no.
not clear. to
Yeah,
me.
no, if you bring something with you.
I asked for it to be clarified then.
Yeah. What section was that again? Did it-
That's C, 5.3C.
3C.
5.3C, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we changed the second paragraph to add for electronic delivery, so that's 24. It starts out, the second paragraph.
Yeah.
For electronic delivery, we want 24 hours. That's
Yeah.
not bringing it to
Yeah,
the meeting.
and that's fine, but I'm just
Okay.
saying, I inferred it to mean everything. And then, I think D is superfluous since you're into Robert's rules, and I'm into 6. Cut them out.
Yep. All right, so mine on 6 is pretty easy. 6.2C.
Jeff, what was yours?
6.3.
6.2C, all remarks be addressed to town council as a whole and not to individual members. I think I was around when that got put in. I've never been a big fan of it. I feel like it's borderline limiting people's right to interact with their representatives. We have plenty of things in the chair's toolbox to keep things from getting out of hand without saying, someone should be able to stand there and say, hey, Rylan, a month ago you said da-da-da-da, and tonight you said this. They should be able to say that to me. And so I would love to see 6.2C taken out once and for all.
I'm not sure I totally agree, Rylan.
I don't
I think the issue is, when someone has something that goes in front of the council, it should be addressed to the council. And I think if it's not in there, then you could potentially, we haven't really seen it, but you could get people deciding they're going to come after Rylan because they can now. And they have a forum to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, in the legal meeting, I was at a TML, it's First Amendment right for somebody to stand up there and come after Ryland.
That's been my
So-
problem.
Now,
let me
they
read
still
it.
have to be part of, they have to stay on the agenda. They
Right.
can't deviate from the agenda. But I'll shut my mouth. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the way the law is written. A governmental body may not prohibit public criticism of the governmental body, okay, including criticism of any act, omission, policy, procedure, program, or service. Subsection does not apply to public criticism that is otherwise prohibited by law, which would be like obscenity or like a threat where you have an immediate apprehension of physical harm. So in general, yeah, someone could come up here and even though it's not germane, they get to criticize you.
That's their right. And the other thing he said, George Carlin's 7 nasty words were legal.
Nasty words might be illegal,
I don't know if they were nasty. I'm not
So
gonna say.
you want to eliminate
depending on the
C?
context.
Anyway, yeah,
Eliminate C.
I think having it in there doesn't change a lot for us. I've seen it invoked a couple times in the last decade, but I'm more worried about someone raising a stink because we put it in there than because they had something they really wanted to say to one of us, you know?
Okay. We'll try it out on you.
Yeah, it already sounds like I'm the guinea pig based on the discussion.
It'll be a long line, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I love, that was a good line.
All right, I believe the citizens' comments and right to speak at 6.3, and it's just a question that I have, and that is on consent agenda items. Okay? What if we have somebody in the audience who wants to speak to one of those items?
They can.
Is there?
They can.
How?
They can.
Yep.
They do
So their opportunities are to speak during citizen comments, and they could fill out a card that says they have a comment about a consent agenda item as well.
So then if they had a comment about that, then we would have to pull that off of the agenda
No.
or
Not
out of
necessarily.
consent.
You just have them come up and,
It's a part of the discussion.
yeah.
It's a part of.
Now, if the
part of
council's going to begin to debate the topic, it should be pulled off of consent, right, on that part. So you
you're
can
talking
decide
about
whether or not you pull it off of consent.
Oh, you're talking about consent.
After
I'm
that one.
sorry.
Okay, so if it's not exactly clear for me, how's it going to be clear for the people? That they can comment on it?
Yeah.
It'd probably be good to be more specific about that. And this covers, this 6.3 is specific for citizens' comments, so that would be their only opportunity.
And so what was that?
It's covered on our agendas under public comments. It's an opportunity for citizens to address council on any matter pursuant to the government code, and then we can make it more clear if you want.
Well,
Yeah, we can, I get the idea. We can work and make sure
Yeah,
that
well,
that's clear.
this
I
covers
think it
the,
needs a little bit of work.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah, okay. Do what you need to do, that's great.
Yep.
Okay, you okay, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
9.1D removal, this is in the situation where you would have a person on a board or commission, a member of the board or commission, who would be recommended for removal. Right now, our ordinances do state that the council has the ability to remove people from, you know.
What number are you on?
Serving as a board or commission.
9.1.
9.1.
You jumped to 9.
Nine
I'm
one
still
D.
on 6.
Well,
Exactly.
All right.
get to
It
removal
is
D.
6:57, so,
It's D. Removal. And before you go to that,
yes, please.
do you mind looking at B, applicant requirements? Notice that it either removed or whatever, does not indicate a criminal background for the applicant requirements. You remember we,
Did we discuss?
We
We had
discussed that.
discussion on it, but we didn't finalize that.
that's what I'm wondering, we did not finalize
Does
what we
does the
wanted to do
council
with that.
want that to be as one?
I don't know, but-
Background check.
That was the
That was
discussion.
the discussion, was the background check.
I'd
Was it
like to
background
see
check?
it.
I think
Okay.
our thought was, once we got this process, we could work on that, because that tended to take a bit more discussion
It
on
did.
how we handled that, and
That's
then we could
correct.
add it in.
Let's
Okay.
just, yeah, let's just assume that that's a
Okay.
topic to nail down.
Well, we'll nail it down
6.58.
later, but it needs
Yeah.
to, I guess, be in
Yeah.
here as a requirement.
Once
Can I
it's not
ask
down,
that
then
this,
we can-
this
do that.
workshop be continued to the next meeting?
Let's get a look
see-
at this.
let's see where we are.
Let's finish, if we may. We still have 2 minutes. Let's see what else, anything else that needs to be covered here?
Yeah, I'm
So-
on page 24, 6.6.
How many more items do you have?
Oh, I got 2 pages left. I
Okay.
know that, I'm sorry, I don't like this document, and I will protest word for word, okay? But I'm trying to be polite.
Okay, so what I'm going to suggest is this. We have some guests in the waiting tonight, i.e. our superintendent, and we have a proclamation for a guest, and we have recognitions pendings. So here the deal is, we're going to have another, can we have another workshop on this? Are we by any kind of scheduled timeline that we're functioning in with this and the other 2 items?
No, there's no defined timeline right now.
Okay.
We just need to kind of move this along as easily as we can. Might I recommend?
Okay, good.
That we
Thank you.
consider, you know, we talk a lot about subcommittees, but there's a lot of details here to work through. As we're getting hour chunks during work sessions, this could take a while to do it this way. with it, if the council wanted to establish a subcommittee to work with staff to be able to finalize
Well,
this.
I'd say either that, or if we have issues, we need to communicate those ahead of time,
Yeah.
so they can be worked on.
I'd really like
and
to
not-
do it here.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah.
not the spot to be, I don't think.
Yeah,
doing that.
if we're doing it this way, it's going to take us a while.
It's
That's my only.
There's a lot of implications in this document about how we interact with each other in the public, and let's just keep it all out. I don't think, I mean, we're almost done in my mind. I mean, we made a lot of progress today.
We did. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, guys, I'm so busy. This is my time to do what the people voted me in here for, so I'd like to do as much here as we can.
Sure.
Okay, so my question is, our next meeting, do we have a workshop planned for our next meeting?
I don't have well, yes, we do, yeah. For the next one, it's going to be talking about overnight parking on street.
Oh, wow.
That'll
Okay.
be, that'll be 2-3 minutes tops, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that won't take long.
That'll do it.
So I'll take a look at
Can we
the
add
calendar
this?
and get it, but I believe after the meeting for that one, I don't believe we have a topic for the first meeting in November.
Okay,
would-
so that will still be able to meet deadlines for these.
Yeah.
By the way, however, I am concerned about the board and commission manual because this relates directly to training, which should be starting very soon. And I would like to see this approved so that you can use it. Is that correct? Because if we wait until November, I would think if I'm looking at this, you're going to use this in your training with the board members. Would that be correct?
We already are, just because we need to train them.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
So
Then-
we're already doing that.
Okay, good.
On that part of it. It will make it official. And we told them we will give them a copy of it once the council approves
Yeah.
the final
Okay.
version.
And most of what's in there is not going to change.
Correct.
Maybe a word here
No, I
and
know,
there,
but I'm going to tell you what, this is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And-
If you'd like, if
don't-
everyone's okay with that one, maybe we can bring that one forward at the next council meeting and get that one approved.
Okay,
and
let's
then
do that.
And then keep, rules
Yeah.
and procedures is going to be where the biggest hang up
Okay,
is here.
let's do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Mayor,
bring this back.
I will send my comments to Brandon, and he could send them out to the council.
Okay, good. So we'll go
That-
forward
that would
with this.
facilitate it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just, I'll send my comments, the rest of my comments to Brandon.
Perfect.
He can communicate them to the council.
Good job. Okey-doke, this was a very good workshop, and it is 7:02. I'm going to adjourn, and we will reconvene for our meeting in, what do y'all want to do? It's 7:02?
7:05.
7:05. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I got to.
7:07, I'm calling to order our Trophy Club Town Council meeting for October the 14th, 2024. And we have a quorum, and not only that, we're a dressed-up quorum. So do you notice that we have all the same uniform in tonight? So we're so delighted to have you, and so delighted to have a nice, full room representing family and those who are being honored tonight. And God bless you for being here, and thank you for being a part of Trophy Club. Also want to welcome all of those who may be watching us online or picking us up later on YouTube. We appreciate it. It's a great opportunity for you to know what's going on in the town, and it's our number one objective is to get you connected to your town, become a part of it, make it be what it is you want it to be. So thank you for being here, and if you would please stand, I will call our pastor, Joel, our friend Joel, for the invocation. Thank you.
All right, let's pray. God, thank you for the servants before me and how hard they work, the ones behind me and the dangers that they face, and for all of our town, Father. We're really grateful. And I pray, Father, we would love one another well and serve, and I pray you bless the meeting tonight. May it go well. Through Jesus I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor
Under
the
the
Texas
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Do you want to announce that? Tammy, do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We have the honor of recognizing a former judge to the town of Trophy Club. Would you like to come to the front here, Ron? And I'm going to read your proclamation. And I think you can stand right there. What is really exciting for me is that this is the judge that swore me in a year and a half ago. And I'm so grateful. And I think you swore in Stacy Bauer as well as Jeff Beach. And we're delighted to have you. And it's my understanding you have moved to Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
I am there. We chased the grandbaby.
Well, aren't they fortunate to have you?
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to read a proclamation, the Office of the Mayor proclamation. Whereas Eric G. Ronselben has provided exceptional service to the town of Trophy Club and surrounding communities for over 2 decades, serving as Associate Municipal Judge from 1999 to 2018, and later as Presiding Municipal Court Judge until July 2024. And whereas Judge Ronselben has dedicated his legal career to advancing justice through his work as a state prosecutor, defense attorney, and educator. His contributions as an educator at the Texas Municipal Courts Education Center have enhanced the knowledge and professionalism of municipal judges, court clerks, and city prosecutors across the state. And whereas his dedication to legal education and practice extends beyond the courtroom, evidenced by his numerous teaching engagements, presentations, and publications, which have further solidified his reputation as a leader in the legal field. And on behalf of the town of Trophy Club and its citizens, we express our deepest gratitude to Judge Ronselben for his outstanding commitment, leadership, and dedication to justice and legal education, ensuring fairness and equality for all. And whereas we wish you, Judge, much happiness and fulfillment as he embarks on this new chapter of his life. Now, therefore, I, Jeanette Tiffany, Mayor of the town of Trophy Club, Texas, and on behalf of the Trophy Club Town Council and its citizens, do hereby recognize and honor the distinguished career and dedicated service of Eric G. Ronselben and extend our heartfelt appreciation for his many contributions to the community, the legal profession, and the pursuit of justice. Presented on this 14th day of October 2024, we, with sincere gratitude and best wishes for continued success and happiness in his well-deserved retirement. Jeanette Tiffany, Mayor. God bless you. Would you like your family to... Judge, would you introduce your family, please?
Well,
You
it's
just-
all friends. My
They're
family in
friends?
North Carolina.
Okay, well, they're
Well, you're
friends.
serious about that,
They're
aren't you?
just, they're just as
You're gonna
good
go
as
around and
friends.
hit
Yeah,
you, it's
they're
gonna
just as good. We do it in front of the, what? You may be missing the most important piece of evidence.
Look at that.
There you go.
Thank you.
Way to go, congratulations.
You can say goodbye to Trophy Club now.
It's been an honor to serve, and I appreciate everybody's support over all the years. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Speech.
You just did.
You just did.
That's all the judge has to say.
It's a good judge.
In his line of work, that's probably good.
You're guilty.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a great one. Now we are ready for our police chief, Patrick Arata.
Don't forget public comments.
And there were no public comments.
Mayor and council, Town Manager Wright, I'm excited to introduce 3 new officers to the town of Trophy Club. So tonight, we're going to do a badge pinning ceremony where we preside the oath of office to our officers and then have them and grant them their badges. A police officer's badge is a symbol of their authority issued by the state of Texas as a peace officer, and it's a commitment to them, to the community, on how they're going to help us preserve and protect us throughout their career. And they'll carry these badges with them throughout their career and hopefully into their retirement. So it's my honor tonight to call forward Judge Bradley, who's going to administer the oath tonight. Judge, you would? And I'd like to introduce Officer Tanowski. He's going to come up with his fiancee. Judge, right there. Officer Torres, would you come on up, please? And Officer Wallace. And
Certainly, yes.
thank you. So the judge's going to administer the oath, and then we'll go ahead and pin these young men. Judge? You're on.
Ready? Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Officer Torres,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of police officer of the state of Texas
of a police officer of the state of Texas
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it was Sergeant Esterhaus in Hill Street Blues that always says, let's be careful of it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's good. I loved Hills.
That was an old.
That is,
Yeah,
but
it was.
it was very good. It was rough, but it was good.
It was a great one.
Huh?
It was a good show.
It was rough.
Good show. My dad made me watch that show.
Did he?
That music.
Yeah, good.
Maximilian.
No blood badges, Chief?
Zip him back up.
Chief, could you have them come stand up here and let the council be behind them for a picture, please? Let's all stand and. You wanna get closer?
Mr. Beach and Ms. Bauer, can you, let's see, trying to get you all in. Yep, there you go. Got it. Got it.
Thank you. Oh. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great job.
Oh, I tell you. Okay. Well, let's give them just a little bit to get out. Dr. Faust, you will be ready. Well, next, but we'll just wait till they, I don't think they're going to stay for your presentation.
What?
Sorry.
That's the best part.
I thought they were here for you first.
I mean, I hate to say that.
Well,
But while you're waiting, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Hope
Thank
things
you.
are going well
Appreciate
for you.
Okay, thank you. Down is up. Tell me when to go.
You are ready. I would like to welcome Dr. Faust, our superintendent of Northwest Independent School District. It's not your first rodeo here, but we appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Council, and thank you for the opportunity to visit with you. I have an update for, regarding the district, some things very specific to Trophy Club, and then a brief presentation about an election in November, our Vader election. First, I want to say thank you guys for serving. You heard that earlier in the prayer, but you're in the service of this community and the students and the families of this community, and it's tireless efforts on your part and a lot of self-sacrifice, so thank you for that. Appreciate that. Northwest ISD, we have a history of excellence. Believe it or not, the district was founded in 1949. We started with just over 700 students. There were 4 towns that came together, Hazlitt, Justin, Rome, and Roanoke, they really had this idea, we want to pool our resources to offer greater opportunities to students. And so they came together and formed Northwest ISD, and we're very proud to be celebrating our 75th anniversary. So there'll be a few events that you'll hear about over time throughout the rest of this school year, but we're excited to be celebrating 75 years of educational excellence. Quick overview of the district, our Board of Trustees, our 7 elected officials, Steve Sproul's our Board President, Jennifer Murphy's our Vice President, and Deanne Hatfield is our Board Secretary. Those are our officers, and then the board members below. Neat thing about our school board, they're incredibly engaged. A bunch of them are graduates of Northwest High School. 4 of them married their high school sweethearts and been married 45 years or longer. Several of them have been married for 50 years. They're very engaged and plugged in, incredible folks. Our core belief, kids come first in Northwest ISD. It's the filter through which we make all of our decisions. So we're making hard budget decisions, all those different decisions we make, what's best for kids, not what's best for adults, what's best for kids is the first filter. So I wanted to share that with you. Without going into great detail, we have 3 primary goals. We had a strategic planning summit in the spring of 2023, and this is the work that over 100 folks did. Some of our folks from Trophy Club were involved with that. Personalized learning experiences for our students and growth for every student. Recruiting, value, and retaining the top quality staff for our kids. We want them to have the best teachers and the best staff that we can. And then creating a safe or fostering a safe environment and a culture of engagement. I heard you say connecting with your town folks. We talk about that culture of engagement all the time. Being here is an opportunity to connect with you guys and share what's going on in our district. You probably know 234 square miles, so geographically a pretty large school district. We are the fastest growing district in North Texas. We currently have 35 campuses. What's crazy is 2000, 2003, in that area, we had 10 campuses. So just the growth in the last less than quarter century is pretty incredible. We serve all or parts of 14 plus towns, and the scary part with 32,000 students is we're about a third built out. We have growth in the northern portion of the district, southern, western, just all over the place. There's growth in the district. So I mentioned 23 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, 3 comprehensive high schools, what we call 6A high schools, and 1 Steele Early College High School. In the next few years, we're going to open up, really, there's 2 replacement elementaries, 3 additional elementaries, middle school number 8, our 4th high school, and then 4 early childhood centers in the northern, southern, eastern, and western portions of the district. So a lot of construction that you guys know about the 2023 bond package, about $2 billion worth of work to make seats, make places and seats for the next 8,400 students. We really hope they don't all come in these first few years because it takes a while to build out these schools. If that goes 5 to 6 years, that would be perfect pace for us. I mentioned fastest growing in North Texas, so annual starts, over 3,000 annual starts in our district boundaries, those 200 plus square miles, 38,000 future lots in the VDLs, 4,000 vacant, developed, ready to go lots. So the futures, I also want to point out, those are platted. Some municipality has approved those and they're just waiting to be built. We currently have 63 actively building subdivisions across the district, 36 future subdivisions, so over 100 active or future, and they delivered 1,230 lots in the second quarter of this year. So I mentioned 32,095 is our target for the end of October. We may or may not hit that number, but we know we'll surpass that number by the end of this school year. The last time I checked on Friday, 32,045 students. So we add students every day. It's pretty hard to imagine, but we generally add students every day. And going back that key point, just in the next 10 years, we expect to have 45,000 plus students. So just a crazy, crazy growth. The impact of our district and Trophy Club, we have several schools, as you guys know, Sam Beck, Lakeview Elementary School, Medlin and Byron. And here's some of the bond 2023, and there were also some funds from 2021, but replacement cycle is the primary work that's been done to the campuses and Trophy Club. So HVAC replacements across Beck, and again, replacement cycles for carpet, a brand new set of furniture for the building, playground equipment that was actually completed in 2022. For Lakeview, similarly, HVAC, indoor air quality upgrades or HVAC replacements, and a furniture replacement. So with the latest and best furniture for Medlin, they also had a furniture replacement cycle, as well as the tennis courts that were upgraded in 2023, carpet and LTV. You guys know LTV? I love this oxymoron, luxury vinyl tile. So we replaced the flooring there, but I don't know if those go together, luxury vinyl tile. But carpet and LTV replacement in 2022, and then fine arts additions and renovations also in 2022. Sorry about that. So Byron Nelson High School has expansions to 6A capacity. So when we opened the school, it was open for 5A capacity, which is in the mid-2000s. It was growing, and we knew the district was growing rapidly, so we expanded that, added a wing, as you guys well know, on the side where Byron Bistro is. But we've got to continue to expand the core spaces. And so the gymnasium, auditorium, and cafeteria, that's work that's going to be coming in the future. We're adding capacity to each of those core spaces so that we can host up to 3,200 students. That's what it will be designed for. Also, in the 2023 bond program, Prop B, which was home stadiums. And let me back up for a quick history lesson there. The Long Range Planning Committee was the group that decided between a second large stadium for the district, since we're geographically growing and we know we're going to add high schools, or going to the home stadium concept. Trophy Club, the Eaton stakeholders really wanted that home stadium concept. And so Proposition B won by 129 votes. Wow. So if you ever think your vote doesn't matter, I assure you your vote matters. Go to the polls and vote your conscience. It made a difference for this. So that stadium, we're going to take that JV stadium and turn it into a 7,500 seat capacity stadium in close partnership with our Trophy Club, city manager and town council. We want to make sure we get those traffic patterns right. And we'll probably come back at a later date and share some of that information with you as we get further along in development. I just want to share with you the timelines there. So a couple of renderings here, and then I'm going to get into some specifics about these expansion projects, and I'm going to go kind of fast. Here's the overall site plan of the high school and where the home stadium will be located, and really just wanted to give you the bird's eye view. The cafeteria expansion that I mentioned, we're just going to basically tack on. We're going to add square footage so we can put more kids in there per lunch as that campus, that campus grows out to 3,200 students. Similarly, the basketball arena is also going to be expanded. We're going to push the seats out to that portion where you see number 3 and add seats onto the end. These numbers are not accurate. We're still in design mode, and so we hope to add a few more seats. Right now, it says 2,500. We're hoping to get 2,553. We're hoping to get closer to 2,800. We're trying to figure out where we're going to put those. Just a couple of quick early renderings of the foyer. This is what it would look like. So if you know now, it's right next to that street, but it's kind of cut out. We're just going to push that out as we push the seats out, push the lobby out. Similarly, we're going to expand the Performance Arts Center, or PAC as we call it, to add another 400-plus seats. Again, seat numbers are más o menos, but we're working on it. We're actually adding a mezzanine, so I've got some visuals that I'd like to share with you. So to expand that seat capacity, pretty neat design, how we'll accomplish that. A couple of interior renderings for you. It's already a lovely PAC, but we're just going to add capacity to it. Here's a little more on the stadium. We're adding a full track so that we can have UIL events there, and then a press box and a grand entrance. And again, I've got some more images for you, or renderings to share. Here's a profile. I was talking with your fire department. We've got a fire lane underneath. So no, I think you guys have probably made that suggestion, and so we're excited that that's going to work out underneath the stadium. Here's an entrance from the promenade. So if you're walking from the school straight down the promenade, we think we're going to do some fun Aggie-type stuff like march-ins with the band and so forth. I had to throw Aggie in there somehow. Just offended half of you. I apologize.
We got the connection.
Okay.
I went there and almost nobody knows, so. I got it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Here you go.
yeah, I
And
keep
so
it.
did he.
Yeah.
And for the rest of them, we'll see you on November 30th, right? That's the next Aggie UT matchup. So this is from the practice field view. It's actually open air. Concessions are what you see in that dark rectangle, but on the second deck. And hang on, I think I might have missed one. Nope, traffic flow. Again, I just wanted to reiterate that we don't have this completely figured out, and we want to do this in consultation with the town to make sure we do the best we can. We do encourage folks, and I think it may be closed anyway at 10:30, but 10:30 on Friday night is not the time to go to Tom Thumb to pick up bread. You want to do it. But I'll also say, we do know that there will be some traffic delays when we let out of that football game. If you ever find a stadium that doesn't have traffic delays around it, let me know. We want to go see if we can study that and figure it out. But I want to move on to, for more information, nistTXconstruction.org. We have, every time we put together a new presentation, we'll upload that, so you can go see additional renderings, and we'll update that from time to time. So just more information there if you'd like it. Quickly, a few slides about an election that our school board called for November the 5th. Super Tuesday. It's a Vader election, and I don't know if you guys have heard, in our world, we're living budget crunch. We had a $2.9 million deficit in the 2023-24 budget cycle. In 24-25, we passed a budget, the board passed a budget with a $15.8 million budget deficit. So we can't continue to live out of the savings account. It's a very serious issue for us. We're not alone. It's not mismanagement of funds. I just wanted to show you some of the links to stories from all over the state of Texas. I think it was Cy-Fair, one of the largest districts in the state, had over $100 million budget deficit this cycle. Dallas ISD, $187 million in their deficit this cycle. Now, their budgets are huge compared to ours at $320 million, but those are big deficits, again, where districts across the state are struggling. What is a Vader? It's a voter-approved tax rate election. We tell folks that this is what the state designed for school districts. If they want to ask their community for more revenue, then the board has to call a Vader election. And we literally go to the community and say, we'd like 3 more pennies in maintenance and operations revenue. This is what's designed for school districts to raise their maintenance and operations tax rate. Maintenance and operations, tax rate or M&O can only be used for daily operations. Can't be used on the bond stuff. Folks say, you guys just passed a $2 billion bond program. Yes, and none of those pennies, not a single dollar can be used for salaries and benefits for staff. It's against the law. We're not allowed to use that money on the M&O side. It has to be for, when we say bonds, we think buildings and renovations and replacement cycles. So by law, we can't use it on M&O.
Folks ask us all the time, what will you do with the 3 additional pennies, or why do you want this additional revenue in your maintenance and operations? We want to maintain our student programs, primarily our student-to-teacher ratios that we currently offer, and we also want to be able to recruit those top talent. We want to get the best teachers, which means we have to be competitive for salaries, and we want to continue to improve our salaries for our faculty and our staff. Folks say, cut the fluff out of your budget. You don't need additional M&O. Really, we are a people-driven business. 80% of our maintenance and operations budget is payroll and benefits. In that second number, contracted services, 11% are contracted services, but several of our people chunks are contracted, like our maintenance and our food services, not maintenance, I'm sorry, our custodians and our food service maintenance folks, food service management company are all contracted services. If you add those in, somewhere between 84 and 87% of our total budget is humans. So if we're going to cut this $15.8 million deficit, it's going to be by reducing the number of staff, not cutting paper and computers and electricity. So that was a joke. We can't do school without paper and computers and electricity. But what have districts around us been doing? We're actually, because we're the fastest growing district in the state, we have really been able to stave off some of these. We've been making decisions to go into budget deficit, but we haven't done these things yet. We're now in that position. But districts around us for the last couple of years have been doing things like freezing all administration hiring, or just freezing hiring, pausing raises. We gave a 2% midpoint raise. It wasn't nearly enough for our staff, but districts all around us didn't give any raise this budget cycle. Increasing class size ratios. If you can imagine adding 2 to 4, that would make a big dent in the budget deficit we currently have. So kinder through 4th grade is required by law and state to have 22 to 1 teacher ratio max. We would need to file waivers and go to roughly 26 to 1. So you can just imagine 26 kindergartners. Again, districts all around us have been doing this as in the last couple of years. And there are other steps that we could take. Again, these aren't what we're going to do because we have no idea whether or not this will pass at the budget ballot. These are things that other districts have done that we will have to consider. Let me go back one. Pay to play is happening commonly around us. So the bottom bullet, reducing athletics and fine arts opportunities. We do not want to reduce athletic and fine arts opportunities for kids, but we may have to charge a fee. A number of districts around us have been charging fees for participation. So I mentioned the 2 buckets, maintenance and operation, interest and sinking. Really, you can use M&O for INS to pay your debt, but people generally don't. You cannot use INS for day-to-day operations. So I just wanted to make that. Those 2 tax rates combine to make our overall tax rate. And one of the most common questions folks ask us is, how will this affect me? So the average home price across the district, there are highs and lows, but the average is around $500,000. Assuming the $100,000 exemption, the homestead exemption, and being taxed on $400,000 with 3 additional M&O pennies would cost $120 more each year, annually, not just once. I want to be clear and transparent on that. 3 pennies of maintenance and operation tax increase will cost the average homeowner $120 each year. So there's the overall tax rate of $11.79. I mentioned just the taxable value. We actually have a tax rate calculator. Well, I'll show you in just a second. It may, actually, that slide may not be in this presentation, but our folks can go to a webpage that we have, and they can slide this bar back and forth to the value of their home. It assumes the homestead exemption. It'll tell them what the impact is. Again, we want to be fully transparent. I need to mention recapture. So you guys probably hear stories about recapture for public school districts. We are a property wealthy district. It's the rooftops across the district, but it's also the commercial, and those 2 things combined, we actually bring in more taxable value than the state says we should have per student. So we end up sending a bunch of money back to the state. Over the last 4 years, it's more than $50 million. I think it's 52.8 that we've sent back to the state. There are also, we're the cup on the far right, where the revenue, the local tax revenue is going back to the state. That's supposed to be redistributed to property poor districts. That's the cup on the far left, where they don't have a big base of property tax, so the state carries the load, and they use our some of the money from recapture to fund those schools as well. But what we know is the dollars go into the state budget. We don't know what happens to those dollars if they actually go to other schools. It's an interesting concept. It's called recapture or Robin Hood. So one thing I wanted to point about in the Vader election with the 3 pennies of maintenance and operations, those are called golden pennies. And what that means is they're not subject to recapture. So those local pennies or that additional local revenue that's raised stays local. It does not get recaptured by the state. That was the point there. There's the handy dandy calculator. You slide the bar and that tells you what the impact is. And again, it's not meant to be down to the penny. It just gives you an estimate. It's pretty close. How do we compare in our tax rate? We have our tax rate, because we have so much volume, because we're going so rapidly, the state has compressed our tax rate to the lowest possible level at 66 cents. We're at the bottom with Decatur and Boyd. If the Vader passes on November 5th, we'll move up to just below Argyle and Grapevine, a couple of neighbors who both, by the way, have Vader elections on the November ballot. Also, some of the districts above us, Fort Worth, Birdville, I'm not sure about Keller, Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, they have already gone out for all of the additional pennies that they can ask for. So beyond the 3 maintenance and operations golden pennies the district is asking for, there are actually several more copper pennies that are subject to recapture. Some of it stays local and some of it goes back to the state. Our board is pretty conservative and they don't like the idea of asking for additional tax rate just to send some of the money back to the state. So the 3 golden pennies are what is on this ballot. Here's the actual ballot language, $1.1179, 4.29% increase. It says it'll raise about $13.8 million. The irony is, you guys remember what I said our deficit was this cycle? Anyone?
15.
Yes, sir, 15.8. We've done the calculation on this next year's estimated values, and it'll be closer to $16 million. And that actually is for this budget cycle. So if this passes in November, this budget cycle, we go from being 15.8 in the hole to about $200,000 to the positive. So we'll be interested to see what happens there. I'll stop there, and any questions you guys have that I can answer for you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The pay-to-play, can you implement that at all? I mean, has NISD considered that?
Well, again, that whole list of things that districts around us have been doing, we don't know what we'll need to do. We think of budget building through 3 lenses. We want to protect our students and programs. We want to protect our staff and not have to have a reduction in force or fire people. And then thirdly, and we haven't been doing well in this, we want to protect our fund balance. So we've blown that one for the last 2 cycles, but we can't continue to do that. So we'll have to make some adjustments. We don't know what they are, quite honestly. But the pay-to-play, again, a lot of districts around us have done that. We do have certain things, like when we bring in clinicians and they can actually meet at the school and kids can work on their instrument kind of one-on-one, but the students pay for that.
Okay.
So those are some things where if you're involved, there are things like drill team, cheer, I mean, they pay for special uniforms and certain things like that. But we're talking about a flat fee for, if you want to be in any level of football,
Yes.
$130 a year, that type of deal. So that's what some districts in the state have gone to.
Okay.
So this is such great information. What's your plan to get it out in as many venues as, obviously you have the website and some other things, but how are you going to aggressively, or how can we help get the message out? Because a lot of people just don't understand this, right?
Yes, sir. Just send them our way. If anyone has any questions, or like if there's an HOA that wants us to come speak, we will be glad to do that. Our Executive Director of Communications, Anthony Tozy, and our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, Jonathan Pastusik, have been all over our attendance zone, if you will, our district, giving presentations. We've been hosting presentations for feeder patterns. So everyone in the Byron feeder pattern, a couple of weeks ago, I gave similar presentation to this, and we've done each of the high schools. We've gone and presented to every one of our campuses, to the faculty, just to make sure that our faculty and staff are aware. And we just say, please ask questions, reach out to us electronically. You know, social media is powerful to share and post. There's a lot of times there'll be misinformation on social media, and so Mr. Tozy's really good about providing the facts, particularly if someone misunderstands. We're willing to go and speak to anyone. We think we have a compelling story to tell with regards to the Bond 2023 program, the district update, and the Vader information as well. So we'll share it with anybody, anytime. Early voting, as you guys know, starts October 21 and closes out November 1st, and then Super Tuesday. So,
Other questions? We appreciate you and all the work you do for our children, and of course, we love the Bobcats over here, and we love our, and we really look forward to working with you regarding our traffic flow.
Yes, ma'am, and hopefully when we get some decisions made, we can come back and share.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dr.
Faust.
Faust.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice presentation. Thank you. But you don't want to stay for the rest of the council meeting?
He's going to give another speech somewhere.
Give me a break.
Speech.
We're actually off school today.
Yeah, oh, that's exactly right. Well, thank you for coming. Bye. Okay, we're going to Community Spotlight, working for you. Any council members have a update, comment? Anybody?
I'll say something.
Okay, good.
If you all notice, we're all wearing the same shirts. I want to give a shout out to our fire department, Deputy Chief Rawlinson, for designing these beautiful pink shirts to honor Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It's sometimes forgotten. I think we just say it's that month to say that we can say that we did it. But I think it's important to know the facts. Facts has awareness. 1 in 8 women have breast cancer. So there's a chance that somebody in this room at some point will have breast cancer, and I think that's important for us to recognize. In 2023, we lost over 40,000 women. That's significant. However, with early detection, there is a 99% survival rate. So this month is a time to honor our survivors, remember those we've lost, and support the fight against breast cancer. And shout out to our fire department for making sure we remember.
Okay, thank you. Anybody want to say anything about the campaign? It's all month long. So you get to wear we could wear a shirt on the 24th. Don't worry about your dress on the 24th, just come dressed. Okay, other comments, anybody? Well, I do have something, as you might expect. Number one, early voting does start Monday, the 21st. The sooner you vote, the less text you will get. And it runs through Friday, November the 1st. What's true? Do you know? If you early vote, you then get off the list. Hours and locations are listed on the town's website. We have a wonderful page for elections. Thank you, Jill, for putting all that information up there. I'm also I have the honor as the mayor of Trophy Club. Tammy, would you come to the podium, please? Because I have the honor to announce that our esteemed town secretary, Tammy Dixon, has earned the prestigious Master Municipal Clerk, MMC, designation from the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. This achievement places her among an elite group of clerks in the United States and one of only 48 in Texas to receive this honor. The MMC designation recognizes Tammy's dedication to her professional development and her commitment to excellence in municipal administration. Her leadership and expertise continue to significantly enhance the operations of our town, and we are very proud to have her part of our team. Tammy, I want you just to give us just a brief what it's taken for you to achieve this recognition, because 48 out of Texas in the
20 years. This has been a long career goal. I thought if I could ever get this, I could retire. I'm not going to retire anytime soon. But it's been a lot of work. It took over 2 years for me to complete the application and get it submitted. It takes hours of education, volunteer time, serving on boards. I serve on the North Texas Municipal Clerks Association, doing activities and work outside of your normal work activity. So thank you for your support. Thank you for recognizing this achievement. It is one of my proudest moments.
Well, we're so proud. Would y'all like to ask her any questions, comments?
I just want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
hey.
you for letting us have you.
Now, do you not get a certificate or something? Come
I
on, give
did.
me a
It
break.
arrived this morning.
Oh, it did?
Yes, and I got my pen.
Well, would you please be sure and have Jill take a picture so that you can put it in the newsletter?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that's so exciting, and keep us posted when you have an opportunity to go serve somewhere. And
I will, and I'll just add that the International Institute of Municipal Clerks is an organization that's not state or national, it's worldwide. There's over 15,000 members. And we're really proud that in 2027, they're going to host their national conference here in Fort Worth. So
Oh.
all of our groups are getting ready, already starting working on
So
that.
you'll be a chair of something.
Probably.
Good. Well, we are very proud of you and very appreciative of all what you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Mr. Wright, would you like to give us an update, please?
Of course, yes. So I'll start off actually with Chief Arata, having him come forward and give everyone a quick update on our Bobcat traffic guard situation.
Yep.
So-
Oh, good.
Mayor and council, thank you. This has been a topic of discussion, obviously, for quite a while, our crossing guard program. Today, we are up to 11 crossing guards. We have 2 parks employees that are going to start helping us as overtime after their day shift. So to give us 13 people, we have 4 or 5 people in the queue we're trying to interview. So I want to thank Captain Woodard for the effort he's put into this to keep this program going and get it to the point to where we can start deploying crossing guards at each intersection along Bobcat, which would include the east entrance to the high school. So we're hoping and planning on doing that on Tuesday, the 22nd. So not tomorrow, but the week from tomorrow.
Good.
We should have everybody trained and up and running at that point, and still trying to get a few more crossing guards. So if you know anybody who's interested, applications are open, but we're looking to get 14 to 15 part-time employees to do that role. So as people get sick or we lose somebody, we have plenty of people to fill right back in, so we don't miss a beat in that program. But again, thank you for the support of this program, and Captain Woodard for the effort he put into it to train these men and women and keep the program moving forward and getting it done. But that's our update. So look for us on the 22nd in front of the high school.
Good.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then the next one is for Friday Lights Contest. So our Fright Lights Contest is going on through October 28th, 2024. Residents can create spectacular yard displays judged on originality, creativity, and adherence to Halloween themes, with special lighting and live actors encouraged. And our Parks and Rec staff will be serving as judges and going around the community for that. Winners will be announced on and promoted on our social media sites. Also, our hazardous waste community cleanup event is going to be held on October 26th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Byron Nelson High School in the parking lot there. More information can be found on our website, but this is a wonderful opportunity for residents to find a safe and convenient way to dispose of unwanted household hazardous waste and here in Trophy Club. Also, we have coming up on Friday, November 1st is our movie night for Coco is the movie that night. It's a special Dia de los Muertos celebration featuring a family-friendly screening of Coco. Bring your lawn chairs, blankets, friends, get ready for magical movie night under the stars. The movie starts at 7 p.m. Also, our Veterans Day celebration will be on November 11th at the Veterans Memorial, 501 Parkview Drive. This day honors and celebrates those who have served in the military. Celebration starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. Last but not least, we do have a couple of board and commission meetings coming up. October 21st is our Parks and Recreation Board meeting. That starts at 6 p.m. October 24th, our Economic Development Corporation meeting, also starting at 6 p.m. And on November 7th, our Planning and Zoning meeting at 6 p.m. as well. You can always find more information in those agendas available on our website. And then also just a couple of community things going on as well. Trophy Club Women's Club Fall Garage Sale. Say that a couple
Do it
times
again.
fast.
TCWC.
Trophy Club Women's Club Fall Garage Sale is on October 19th. That is this Saturday. And then Breakfast with Tiffany is next Monday, October 21st. And then, of course, our next town council meeting will be held on Monday, October 28th. And if you have any questions on those items, I can answer them now, but that's coming up for the updates.
Okay, thank you. You know what, I'm going to make a recognition right now. I think it's wonderful to look out there and see all the directors of our town sitting out there, Chief Woodward, and I look on this side and I look out there. I just appreciate you being here. I know it's probably a command performance, but still, I want you to know how much I appreciate it, because it encourages us up here, let me tell you that. You're all there, and you always have your specific seats. You're always in the very same place, so. Anyway, thank you for being here. Okay, we will go to the consent agenda.
Mayor, would you
Yes, sir.
pull consent agenda number 14, please?
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that we approve consent agenda items 6 through 13.
I'll second.
inclusive.
Yeah, so we don't want to read them. Y'all are good not reading them?
Shall I read them?
Y'all are good not
Should
reading
we
them?
have Tammy read them?
I'm good.
You have to read them? You're the attorney, sir.
No.
No, we generally don't read them.
There are a lot of
We
them.
have the agenda before us, but I mean, traditionally, that's what, do you?
We typically read them. We always read them.
We don't typically read all the consent
Yes, we do.
agenda items.
I mean, since I've been mayor, we've always read them all.
But there
So-
hasn't been this
Usually
many.
there's not this many.
Exactly. So,
We're good.
So red.
I did second, by the way. I was kind of quiet there, but I seconded.
how hard is
Luann's
this?
motion.
Okay, there's a second. All those in agreement, raise your hand. Those in opposed? Okay, we now will deal with item 14. Would you like to read that, please?
Consider a resolution approving the Human Resources Policies and Procedures Manual, the Leave Administration Policy, and the Prohibited Technology Policy, and authorizing the town manager to make ministerial revisions as necessary.
Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Sheridan?
I brought this up I have no idea why I'm qualified to approve of the human resources policy, but our charter talks about that the council has determination of all matters of policy, okay? So if you called this a manual, we wouldn't have to look at it, if I understood it correctly. So my question is, you're creating a policy here that council's approved before, then you're making alterations to it, and you're doing it with a town manager policy and a town manager procedure and another town manager policy. It doesn't make sense to me. One, is there some way we don't have to look at this? Two, why are we changing the format, and what is the town manager policy? This is new to me. Thank you. That's what I got.
Sure, so I'll answer the question of, is there a way for the council not to approve this? Yes, there is, and that is, so previously, I'll start with a little backstory. These policies can be approved either by council or town manager, and depending on where you go, to what city, what town, they'll follow a little bit different process here. Here in Trophy Club, the council has in the past approved this policy, right? As you know, council has with it a level of authority. Once you approve something as a town manager, I don't have the authority to just go and undo those things with that. And so because you have approved this in the past with that, it is important that you approve the policy as a governing body for that. You could designate by resolution and or ordinance, right, this idea of the town manager has the authority to be able to change the town policies as needed for that. And that would then kind of revert that authority back to the town manager. So in some organizations where you haven't had that happening with the council approving it, the town manager is responsible for the HR policy manual and for how that's updated. That can be done that way. Because the council has previously adopted it, it is something that lies in your authority to change with that about the process for how it is that we would go about approving it in the future.
Dean, how does this fall under the Charter 3.08, the powers of the town council, determination of all matters of policy?
Yeah, so that provision, you just read it, all powers of the town and the determination of all matters of policy shall be vested in the council. So I think the language here, I see ministerial changes. I'm assuming that means that it'll be minor.
I'm
nature.
sorry, I do have down here, what the definition of ministerial?
Yeah, that would be non-critical, I mean, commas,
Okay.
formatting, revisions.
Scribner's
But-
error.
Scrivener's
Okay, I
error.
understand.
Use the
But come back to the part of it. Now, but the changes in here talk about a town manager policy, and we just said that only the council has a policy. So what are we, in
Yeah, so-
format? I mean, I'm not trying to delay this meeting. But
Sure.
as far as saying I don't like the way this is happening or without, it's just new to me.
Yeah,
And just thrown in, if I didn't, out of this whole thing, I don't know how many pages it is, a couple hundred.
651?
No, I'm just talking about just
wanna make sure I write
the
down.
manual, okay? It just,
So some of these are required by state law. The new policy on technology, that's state law. There's also a policy on mental health for police officers that was created by state law that's mandated by TCOL. So you have some policies like that that, you know, whether you like it or not, I mean, the charter might be preempted to some degree. That hasn't been tested in courts, but I would argue that to meet some state law deadlines, it's necessary for Brandon to adopt.
Okay, so
these
it
policies.
is right, it's necessary for us to approve this, fine. Then I don't like the way it's formatted here, because you know, the new format of town manager policy. Okay, I'm not against I may not like ministerial, but I'm not against changes, just the way they're at. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I just need clarification. So that means the council does approve this, the human resource?
So I'll read the charter language again, and I
Thank
don't
you,
know the original
because-
intent of the charter, but I'm guessing that some of y'all helped write it. So maybe you can tell me what the intent was. All powers of the town and the determination of all matters of policy shall be vested in the council. That is your charter. And so ministerial would be very, very minor changes. I think that Brandon and I could work through the policy. And if there are significant changes, I think we'll need to bring them back to you. I mean, that would be my recommendation.
Is this a standard for other towns to have this in their charter?
I haven't run across this.
But Ryland was
So-
on the charter review.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
You.
all I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that hopefully next year, May 25, we will have a charter review. And this is needs to be on there as let's review. So
I have a couple.
that's what I'm going for.
I was going to pull this for a different reason, but I will say to your point, Dennis, I don't mind seeing this. I think what Brandon's approach is going off a precedent is a good way to honor what's in the charter. But the reason I don't mind seeing it is because I approved a parental leave policy in October 2016. I brought it to this council. I got a second to get it on the agenda. We approved a 6-week maternity leave policy 8 years ago. What happened? Do we know? Brandon, I brought this to your attention in August when you told me you were looking at this. So there's an argument, one, for us looking at it, but do we have any idea what happened there? I have in the minutes of October 25th, 2016, that the policy, which was presented as a draft at that time, was approved unanimously. And it's in the agenda packet if anyone wants to look at it, but it's basically 6 weeks paid leave for a mother who gives birth. So this is something that when I brought it up at the time, I was surprised we didn't already have it. I don't think we should be, you want to talk about vested in us, this reflects poorly on us. This reflected poorly on us in 2016, and the fact that we're talking about it now reflects poorly on us even more. There are some things that it's good to bring to us, because I personally didn't like it then, and I'm not happy at all that this just disappeared. I don't understand how that happens. But in any case, what we have in the proposed policy right now, I don't think goes far enough. I'm happy to approve it to move the item forward, but we need to reconsider it. I don't think 2 weeks is enough time.
Well, what role did the town manager have in ensuring that policy was enacted?
I suppose the same they do in everything we do. But we
So-
can go back and look.
Yeah. So,
Just remember next time
so.
someone thinks.
I'm just saying, Okay, so what do we want to do with this particular agenda item? Who has a motion? What do you want to do? Do we need to?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda item number 14.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second, all those, is there discussion? Anybody discuss? Okay.
Mayor, I'm going to vote against it. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, thank you. What do we do? Are y'all okay?
Yeah, they're good.
Dennis and Ryland.
Yeah.
Everybody else raise your
And
hand.
it's great.
Dennis and Ryland opposed.
Okay.
A
That's what I
great
have.
document, but I need to get that leave policy fixed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to the number 16.
15.
Number 15.
Oh, good grief, that's correct. Number 15. Thank you, Tammy.
Consider authorizing the town manager to negotiate and execute a purchase agreement with the city of Roanoke for Lenco Bearcat SWAT vehicle in the amount of $77,373.20.
Okay, thank you. Chief?
Mayor and council, it's me again, Patrick. Thank you again for this opportunity. I know we talked about this last year, so a little history. So almost a little bit short of 3 years ago, the regional team got together and talked about replacing the military vehicle we have today. And it was suggested 2.5 years ago to go ahead and request funding to replace the vehicle with a new, more domesticated SWAT vehicle, armored vehicle. So last year, we brought this forward to council as a coming item, and then in this year's budget, it was there. So thank you for that. And what we have today is a current surplus military vehicle called an MRAP. It's about 16 feet tall. I'm trying to pull up my, oh, I'm sorry, yes. So this is what we currently operate. I think you've seen it at Touch a Truck. It's an old military surplus MRAP that we're replacing with a newer version built off of a Ford 550 chassis. It's a more domesticated police version of an armored vehicle. The SWAT team, we've been a member of the SWAT team since 2015, and we joined the SWAT team for really one purpose, to provide us resources that we didn't have. So with a high school, we didn't anticipate some of the things that we've had happen in town since then, but it's nice to have that resource. So when we call the team today, we have 30 people that'll come help us right away without even asking any questions. They come. So an example is 4th of July. We have 4 or 5 members of the team available to us that we don't use. They just sit around waiting for something to happen as a quick reaction force. When we have things happen at the high school, they come. Not all 30 members come at the same time, but we have 5 to 10 police officers coming right away to help us, which is incredible for a small department. Because normally at night, we only have 4 people working, or during the day, we'll have up to 5 to 8 with command staff. And to have 10 police officers show up right away is a major plus without having to justify it. So what this vehicle will do for us is give us a much smaller footprint to get around and deliver people to a front door safely or evacuate people safely using an armored vehicle. And it's going to last us 20 years. So it is part of we are part of the 5 teams, so we're 1/5 of the cost. So, sorry about that. So this is what the SWAT team looks at. It's 5 cities participate. And I think one thing I didn't realize is that we do cover Westlake. Since Keller is a law enforcement component for Westlake, they threw Westlake in there. So we protect 6 cities as part of the SWAT team. So just when we first signed up, we didn't have anybody on the team for several years. And then we did get Officer Sullivan at the time on the team. He's now Sergeant Sullivan. He was our first member as a hostage negotiator. And he did that for several years. And he just came off the team not too long ago. But he served as the hostage negotiator for the Beth Israel hostage situation. He went through that whole thing as the negotiator. So the town was recognized for that. He was recognized for that. But we do contribute. So today, we have Barry was replaced by another negotiator, Detective Sprouse. And we also have a person on the other side of the team as an operator. So Sergeant Cobbler is on the team now. So we have 2 members of the team, which works out really well for us. Today, the team is commanded by a captain in the Roanoke Police Department. Every couple of years, they switch rotation. So Captain Luna has been promoted to the assistant chief in Southlake, so he's no longer in that role as the SWAT team commander. So it's looking good for Roanoke. Roanoke will be housing this vehicle for the next 3 to 5 years. So it's right next door, so it makes it easier for us. And they will continue to participate in our events, help us. So This is the Beth Israel event where we brought the SWAT truck out along with other members. What the vehicle will be used for, I won't read that unless you really need me to. Any questions? I know I'm talking quickly, but thank you. But this will continue to keep improvements with our SWAT team and help us in the future, so.
Captain Arata, I have a question. You said this life expectancy of this Bearcat is 20 years?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get used as much as you might think, but yes, it'll last us.
But I guess you upgraded with new technology over those 20 years.
It's just the chassis. It's really
Oh.
not full of technology.
Oh, it's not?
It has some cameras on it and stuff, but it's mainly an armored vehicle. And it's built on a F4 550 truck frame, so it helps us with maintenance and stuff.
So it's not going to be used as a command or incident command or anything like that?
It's not that type of vehicle.
Any other comments, questions you have? Okay, anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Agenda item 15.
I'll second it.
Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, Council, thank you.
Congrats. We'll go to now item 16.
Consider the adoption of the Town of Trophy Club 2025-2030 strategic plan.
All right. So over the last many months, actually since January, we've been working as a town council, department head team, our residents to be able to put together a strategic plan for the Town of Trophy Club. A strategic plan is something that really guides our daily efforts, our goals, our priorities over time for the next 5 to 20 years. You know, the idea is that this kind of goes on for quite a while. In this process, you know, we've really done a lot of listening to the community, right? So it started off with the council providing some general inputs with that, met with the department head team, and we went through and we created some draft, you know, both focus areas and objectives. Then we went to the community and we asked a whole lot of questions, right? So we did surveys, we did focus groups with the groups to be able to understand what it was that were the priorities for us moving forward. And then ultimately, we met with the city council or town council again to be able to validate that information that we received from the public and put that into one strategic plan document. With that, we've developed 5 focus areas. We have 16 objectives in all of those focus areas, and then there are dozens and dozens of initiatives from that. The total document, I think, is about 150-something pages long. At this point, it's a lot of work on it, and it's something. It's a living document, right? But this outlines specifically goals that are to be and tasks that are to be achieved every year for the next 5 years, and it has who's responsible for it, when resources are needed, what the dollar amount of resources are, so that we can appropriately budget for that. But this is the type of planning that's necessary in order to turn just a simple goal document into an actionable document, something that we can use at the town level with our department head staff to be able to transform how it is that we conduct our operations on a day-to-day basis here in the town. What this does is it allows for us to become very, very focused over time. So the town council approved our business plan, right? Approved 6 business plan goals for this year. We've already started working on those goals on the staff side. Our goal is to complete those items and wrap them up by the end of this fiscal year, and then we will be turning to the next set of business plan goals with the town council. It's set up so that every 6 months, we're doing reporting to the council about how that's looking during a work session, during a retreat. So we'll hold retreats, and we'll be able to talk about where we are and be able to get new input on other strategic plan items that we need to add to the list, things that might become over time not necessary anymore, so we might remove them from the list. But it will be very much a living document, one that we continue to look at, literally every week on the staff side of it, and on the council side, at least every month or every other month. You'll be referencing kind of that document and what's going on. We've developed a website for it as well, where we'll provide reporting to the public, and we'll do that quarterly. That website's already available on our website. If you want to find it quickly, you can just ask Indy online. He'll help you find it pretty quickly. And be able to see those goals and how that all works. But I want to express my appreciation to the town council, to our department head staff, to all of our residents who got engaged in this process and really provided the input that we needed in order to put together our long-term strategic plan here for the community that begins to look at how it is that we make sure that we turn the ideas of what we want to be in the future into objectives today that we actually can achieve with that. And so we look forward to working on this over the next 5 and 20 years plus.
I just have a question. Interpreting this beautiful document. Now, I'm just going to tell everyone that's listening, you need to go online and look at this document that I can't, since I only have one hand.
Have Dennis help you, he's got one too.
There we go.
We got two between them.
I'm telling you, it is something. So what I'd like for you to do is explain just briefly back here how to interpret this, because I see these red squares.
Sure.
And they're various different places, and does
Yep.
that mean it's done, finished, started?
Oh, good question. So as you go to the section of the document where you turn into the different tasks and work plan items that are associated with each of the different initiatives and objectives, you'll see that there's a time frame associated with all of them, right?
Yes.
So when you see a red box, that's the duration under which and all the reporting is done quarterly, right? So if you see fiscal year 2026, quarter 2, for example, and it's red, that means that we're going to begin that project during that time frame. However long those boxes remain red is how long the duration of that task is expected to take. So if it's one box, then it should only take 1 quarter to complete, right? If it's red for 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, then you would expect that it takes that many quarters for us to be able to achieve that particular work item as we move forward. So that document will tell you everything from, the color coding on top tells you who's responsible for it, what department's working on it. Then you've got the red boxes that are telling you when that item is going to be begun, right? When it's going to be started and when it is that it's going to be completed in the red boxes there for it. And then you will find reporting on not the entire big document, because that's a lot for people, people don't want to look through 150 pages for that, but I would go to our business plan goals section of the website.
Yes.
Where we keep quarterly goals on our business plan items,
Right.
right, which are taken from the strategic plan, to be able to read detailed information about the achievements of the different goals that are happening.
I'm telling you, also, when I looked at this, I thought, okay, if I'm getting ready to hire someone into this town, here's your job. Now,
Yeah.
if you want to align and execute, you're welcome to join us. If you don't, maybe you need to look for something else. But this is an extremely valuable piece of work, and it didn't happen just by one person.
No. This was hundreds of hours of work by
I mean, it's
everyone.
It is significant. I was working with Steve yesterday. I said, I bet this beats Cadillac. And he said, I think it does.
Well, I don't want to comment on that. Having come from the corporate world, and Ryan Lincoln probably and some other folks, I've seen 100 of these things.
I know.
Hundreds.
I know you have, but
And
not
this
in
is,
town.
but the point is,
Okay.
this is so thorough.
Exactly.
And the reason it's so good, it's so well thought out, it's so well laid out. Most strategic plans, unfortunately, are up here, high level. You spend 6 months putting it together, and it becomes a doorstop. This is what it sounds like. It's our plan, it's our roadmap. So, great work. Just can't say enough good things about it.
No, yeah, I mean, I've been in the corporate world, many of us have, many of us have seen strategic plans that typically they stop 2 or 3, and they don't go this far. This is significant work. Thank you very much. And I suspect you can't go to all the towns around us and find something like this.
Yeah, you can usually tell when you ask an organization for their strategic plan, the length of it tells you a lot.
Yes.
Right? So if they hand you a page or 2, it stayed up here at this level, right? Those are not actionable plans. To get to actionable plans, you need a lot of pages, a lot of details for it. And it takes, that's why this process, it takes a little while, but this is the hard work, right? It's that process of putting together all the detailed plans. Once you get through that part of it, from the staff side of it, it becomes much easier now. Now we have clarity over how it is we achieve the goals, to be able to do those things, working with the town council, working with our residents and each other. We're able to kind of begin chipping away at each of those goals and achieving them over time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Any other?
Question,
Jay?
these are basically the proactive items, and we're looking at it, adopting it as a motion. Is there a possibility that change will be required? Because if we do it as a motion, then you have to bring it back for approval.
Yeah, the idea here is that we'll approve it now to really set it in motion. Your continued involvement in this will happen during retreats. So we're not going to bring back the document every 6 months for you to approve a new version of it. We will just get your input during those 6 months, and then we'll continue to kind of move forward in that process. So every 6 months, we will make updates to it based on the input that the council provides during retreats. We'll do our reporting, these items are completed, these things are delayed, whatever's happening with each of the, different goals that are in there, and then we'll be able to show you what's happening with that. So the idea from here is that it becomes a living document, right? One that you are continually updating along the way. It's not a frozen in time one, and that's why I don't think it's a good idea to get into the habit of regularly having the council approve it, because that'll just freeze it in time on it. We want this thing to continue to move with us as we move forward.
Okay. In light of that, I would make a motion to adopt the Town of Trophy Club 2025-2030 strategic plan.
Second.
And Dennis will second that. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? No one opposes, and it is passed. Thank you. We'll go to item 17.
Consider a resolution petitioning the state of Texas to designate Trophy Club as the Texas Town of Patriots.
And before you do that, I have something to say. I know that Brandon, I would like to introduce this because, and just to share a couple of thoughts. This resolution that is being presented captures the essence of Trophy Club, which dates all the way back to 1970 when the local families living over here on Fresh Meadow would go over here up to 114 and Trophy Club Drive and have their celebrations, their 4th of July celebrations, their parade, raise their flags, and basically celebrate the Independence Day. And over time in Trophy Club, the infusion of patriotism into Trophy Club has persisted. And then we have people here who've lived here for 20, 30 years, and you know that patriotic kind of spirit has continued in Trophy Club. So this resolution pays homage to everyone who has championed patriotism in Trophy Club through their groups, their events, town collaborations, individual residents wanting to do something from a patriotic point of view. And so its constant goal is to engage and encourage the community to celebrate the rights that we enjoy of freedom, liberty, justice, and equality for all. So I want you, if you're listening and in this room, to please take a moment to read the accompanying document that's been prepared by Trophy Club Patriots, telling the story of Trophy Club's history of patriotism and pointing the way toward Trophy Club's rightful designation as Texas Town of Patriots. And we are so proud to put this forth. And we also have Kaylin Melton, who is the deputy for Representative Ben Bumgarner here, who speak after you want to speak, Brandon. But again, this now is on your website for you to send it to friends and people in the town. Go to trophyclub.organization/TC Patriots. So that's where it will be found online. It's a beautiful document. And again, this has been put together by many, many people who have had a hand in creating the patriotic culture that you will find in Trophy Club. Brandon, it's you, please.
Sure, yes. So this initiative actually, so Mayor Tiffany deserves a lot of credit for helping to organize all the information for, and putting together this idea of recognizing Trophy Club's patriotic history here in the community. And so what you did actually a couple months ago was reach out to a lot of residents and say, hey, help share your stories about how it is that the town of Trophy Club celebrates its patriotic roots on that. And the stories flooded in, right? You know them. Think of all the different things as a community that we do to celebrate, the patriotism here in Trophy Club. And we started to just put it together into one big document, into a book for that. And as we did that, the mayor started reaching out to our representatives, our senator, and kind of saying, hey, what is it that we might be able to do from the town's perspective to be able to gain some recognition at the state level for the town's rich history in sharing our patriotic roots for that. And so from that, this idea, it was cultivated. And so we received a very warm welcome from Representative Bumgarner as well as Senator Parker And so we appreciate their efforts in helping to advance this forward. They're looking to introduce this during the 89th legislative session. That would require approvals from both the House as well as the Senate on that. And then it would turn around and ultimately be something that the governor would need to sign as well in that process. So we're at the very, very beginning of it right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's a lot of steps to go through. But the first step would be having the council approve the resolution, formally making that ask of our local legislators.
Kaylin, would you like to speak to this just a little bit as to what might be expected going forward?
Yeah, so,
Tell us who you are, please.
yeah, Kaylin Melton with State Representative Ben Bumgarner. Yeah, we've already met with both Brandon and the mayor about this. Pretty much it's a pretty fast timeline once session gets started in January and everything. But I mean, after those first 60 days, we look forward to filing this, working with Tam Parker's office to get it across the finish line and get it signed to the governor. And I'll be keeping everybody here updated throughout that entire process and whatnot. But we pretty much worked out the language. Shouldn't run to any issues, but we will definitely see how the 89th goes. And feel free to reach out to us anytime.
And what does this designation kind of do for Trophy? I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, it's an
how
official.
do we use this?
Yeah, so it's an official recognition from the state. So one example, you kind of look to our neighbors with Roanoke, the unique dining capital of Texas. Once it's approved, the town can pretty much advertise it as much as you want. If you want sign toppers incorporated in your logo, kind of the whole 9 yards from there. And it will be, if we copy that language specifically, it would be up for renewal every 10 years. But usually once it gets passed once, nobody tries to fight you for it after, so.
And based on your research, then, in the state of Texas, as I've found, Killeen is the one that's designated as the most patriotic town in Texas.
Yes, they are designated as they have a recognition from an outside group, and it's actually the most patriotic city in
Of the
Texas.
city, okay.
So that's why we recommended using the word town in here. A, y'all are a town. B, cities like Killeen, San Antonio, other folks that might try to claim most patriotic, they're not going to fight you for it, so.
Okay. All right. Any other-
Mayor, I'd
Yes,
like to make a motion.
certainly. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion, we approve the resolution petitioning the state of Texas to designate Trophy Club as the Texas Town of Patriots.
Second? Who wants second?
Second.
Steve will second. All those in favor? All those opposed? Yay, congratulations. Good job. Okay, next, please. Is that it for that?
Nope,
We have
One
one
more.
more. Wait,
One
one
more.
more.
Una más.
Consider a resolution consenting to the expansion of the Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1 with the corporate boundaries of and to include all areas within the town of Trophy Club.
Is there discussion on this?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just give a brief staff report. So this is a project that has been in the works now for several months with it, and it kind of stems from an initial desire that I think both the municipal utility district, the MUD, right, and the town have had for quite some time, which is, you know, the MUD does an excellent job with providing quality water and sewer services to our community. For that, they have governmental boundaries that are about half of our town, and so the other half of the town receives, you know, water and sewer service delivery by way of, you know, a pit assessment that happens through the town because their borders aren't big enough to cover everything in the remainder part of the town. In addition to that, they have responsibility for fire service in part of the town. The town of Trophy Club has it for all of our boundaries, but we actually operate by way of an interlocal agreement. We operate a fire department, and then we kind of share funding back and forth to be able to accommodate how it is that we pay for that fire service. Both of those things lead for more complicated governmental versions of providing essential services than are probably required in most locations for that. And so with this kind of understanding of, you know, there's, you know, the town and the MUD are both involved in providing, you know, these services. Is there a way for us to better align our future provision of services with each organization individually? Okay, that being that the MUD would provide water service and that the town would be able to provide fire service into the future for that. So we've outlined a plan by the way that can work. Okay, and it's complicated. There's a lot of steps to it. It involves us petitioning the TCEQ for authority to be able to expand the MUD's boundaries. But the first step of it is to have the MUD expand its boundaries to all portions of Trophy Club, so that we kind of get rid of this, this unusual world where we have a PID assessment and a MUD tax that are the way of funding services both for either the water area or for the fire area for that. And really trying to figure out, okay, once we do that part, then the town would actually be able to take over fire services as a governmental entity, take over taxing authority for that organization, and then be able to provision all of its water assets to the MUD, and then they would be able to take over the full delivery of water service within Trophy Club with it. The world operates like that right now. Like at the end result to our users, that's what they see. They see the MUD providing their water and their sewer services. They see the town providing their fire services and their EMS services on that. This makes it very clear to them at the end of the day which government is responsible for each one of those things. As we've been working together on this, we've been, obviously been consulted by our own corporation council as well as that of the MUD to be able to come to alignment of how it is that we might be able to petition the TCEQ for the expansion of the boundaries. And it starts with a resolution where we are, kind of consenting our authority, and the MUD is also agreeing to it, to be able to expand the boundaries of the MUD into all of Trophy Club. Now, what impact will that have on residents? Right. The hope is that at the end of the day that there won't be very much financial adjustments or changes to anyone at all. However, there will be some small adjustments. The reason why is because when you change from a PID assessment to a taxing formula, the way that you calculate the number at the end of the day is different on that. And so depending on the value of your house, right, the more value your house has compared to the average house in your area, you'll pay a little bit more. If you live in a house that's a little bit under the average value of the house in your particular area, you might pay a little bit less because of that situation. What we know is that we're not trying to get more money into the system, right? We're trying to preserve the money that's already paid out by way of either assessment or a tax and be able to keep that in the system as we further align the governmental entities here to be able to make sure that the MUD is providing for the water services and that the town provides for the fire services with that. So as we petition the TCEQ, there's not really a process identified in state law right now that makes this process clear. There are ideas of it. There are, some language that provides that this is the way that we should be pursuing with them for it, but we don't know what type of a reaction and response we'll receive from TCEQ once we provide that to them. Once we begin receiving responses to that, we'll certainly make the council aware of what that looks like so we can understand what the next steps would look like if we need to be able to do that. I do want to just express our appreciation to the MUD as well, and the board of directors both, and then our general manager, Alan, who's here as well, for their partnership during all of this. One of the things that is really working well right now is that the town and the MUD are working together collaboratively to be able to make this part happen. Both of them have the best interest of our Trophy Club residents at heart. As we're doing this, no one wants to be able to make a change that's going to provide some negative outcome for our residents. And so we are looking for solutions that provide only win situations for the Trophy Club residents to be able to make sure that at the end of the day, it's clear what governmental entity is providing what governmental service here in there, and that residents all across the community, right? Think of it even for right now when it comes to water service. If I live outside of the MUD boundaries and in the PID area, I don't have a place to be able to vote for board members or things like that. I don't have representation on that part of it. This would change that situation across our community, provide a little bit easier way for us to understand how it is that they get involved in that governmental process or having a say in what happens for them. So if there's any questions, I'll go ahead and answer that, but this is the resolution that we have for you tonight.
Alan, would you like to come to the podium and speak to us in any way? Come on. We haven't seen you in a while.
You've been sitting there all night.
I know it.
Yeah, come on, Alan.
We want you to,
Alan loves waiting till the end of the
I
meeting.
know.
Yeah.
We did those for you, Alan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alan Formani. I'm the General Manager for Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1. So this is an interesting opportunity for both the district and the town council. Brandon and I have been working along with our staff and legal counsel. We're appreciative of the efforts this far. And so we're looking forward to seeing what TCEQ says and how quickly they say what they're planning on saying, right? But we are open to this concept and looking forward to the potential for these expansions to happen. And we definitely look forward to the ease of operations from a budgeting standpoint and an operational standpoint. So we're very much appreciative of this and the town council and working with us on this.
Y'all have any questions of Alan? Well, I'm going to say thank you to the board, your board of directors. We appreciate their work with us. I know that Steve and Jeff and several have been working with the board, but we value the relationship, and we look forward to it being stronger and more focused and continue to focus on the customer, which is what we're about, so.
Absolutely.
You've just-
I know that the
just been
board
a-
feels the same way.
It's been a great pleasure.
Yes,
to-
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being
I
here
appreciate
tonight.
it.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution consenting to the expansion of the Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1 within the corporate boundaries of and to include all areas within the town of Trophy Club.
Second.
Okay, Luann
Second,
seconds
third,
that.
fourth, and fifth.
Da-da-da-da.
I really wanted to make it because I want to speak to it. I'm so happy that we're trying
Oh,
to figure
good.
this out.
Go for it.
We've got to make things make sense for the people that live here. I mean, how many times have we all had these conversations over and over? It's complicated. It's too complicated. And you have the issue of you receive services from a governmental entity that you cannot vote for who runs it. So I know this is an uncertain path. We're not sure exactly, to the point the guys made. We don't know exactly what the next step's going to look like, but I'm super appreciative, as you said, Jeanette, that everyone is moving in the same direction with the same goal in mind, which is to make things make the most sense for the folks. So I'm really excited to do this.
It is exciting. In fact, I think it's exciting that we're on this council to have this kind of relationship with the board of the MUD. I mean, this is a, what would you call it?
Refreshing.
Huh?
Refreshing.
Refreshing, but a milestone that I think many in our past have worked for, and now we're there. So we just thank you.
I remember sitting, and Alan will remember as well, on the mud board, talking about these things, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ryland's been around 15 years, 20 years ago, and to finally see this moving, and, some people will say, well, it's not that hard, well, why just can't you put the fire services over here and the water and wastewater over there? Well, it's not that simple, and this is the first time I can remember that we're really moving the ball ahead, and it's going to take some time. You're right, Brandon and Alan, but this is step one, so
It's
well done.
exciting. Very exciting.
And I will mention that you do have a revised version of the resolution
Yeah.
that is provided at your tables based on some input that the MUD provided to us.
Okay, did we have a motion on this, and did we discuss?
I was the motion, and
And
Luann
Luann
was the
seconded
second.
that, so all those in favor, please raise your hand. What are you laughing at, Brandon?
Just the
Those opposed? No one's opposed, so it passes. Alan, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guess what, boys and girls?
Executive.
We're going
There's executive
to
session.
have an executive session.
Pursuant to the following designated section of the Government Code, Chapter 551, the Town Council will recess into executive session under Section 551074, Personnel Matters, to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, Town Manager.
Okay, it's 8:35. We will convene.
Hey, Kalen?
Convene.
Red lights
It's
are-
9:07. We'll reconvene into regular session. And no action was taken. And I adjourn this meeting. It's 9:07.
All right.